77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm sorry, Sid. Hi.
Oh, God, don't be sorry. You kidding me?
No, I'm wrapped up in these meetings on peace. And I said, it's between peace and Sid Rosenberg. And I said, let's take Rosenberg, okay? So.
Tensions are still flaring between Mayor Mamdani and one of the city's top business leaders.
All right, Fox 5's Morgan McKay here now with more on the rift between the mayor and Citadel CEO Ken Griffin.
Hey, Steve and Natasha. So Mayor Zohran Mamdani's video targeting Citadel CEO Ken Griffin is still making waves in the business community, and sources tell us that Griffin wants a public apology from the mayor. Meanwhile, Council Speaker Julie Menon says that she did reach out to Griffin on her own. It was this video right here where Mamdani stood outside Griffin's home and used him as an example for what type of properties would be targeted by Governor Hochul's pied-à-terre tax. But Griffin punched back, calling the video weird, creepy, and even dangerous, and has threatened to pull jobs away from the city and move them to Miami. We asked Mamdani recently if he has spoken with Griffin, and he said no, but he did thank Griffin for his contributions to the city. But sources tell us privately that Mamdani has tried to connect with Griffin, but with no luck. However, Council Speaker Julie Menon says that she did speak with Griffin after the video and said the mayor's rhetoric in that video was not productive.
I don't think ad hominem personal attacks are productive. I just don't think that's the path forward. I think right now we have a situation where the city has lost 27,000 jobs compared to the 190,000 the city has gained each of the prior 4 years. This is a real crisis. I reached out to him to indicate that those jobs are important to New York City. And so that was really the message that I gave, and that's really what I think we need to focus on moving forward.
Now, Mamdani has also still not hired someone to lead the Economic Development Corporation, one of the most important city agencies focused on job growth. And it's more than 4 months into his term. But Mamdani has met with several prominent business leaders in recent weeks, including the president and the CEO of Chobani and the president of Blackstone. Stephen Fulop, the president of the Partnership for New York, which is a lobbying and an advocacy group for the city's top businesses, says that some business leaders are frustrated by the messaging coming from City Hall.
Anytime that you're singling somebody out and you are calling them out by name and showing their home, it's not helpful. I do think that acknowledgement that the video was probably not the best approach to highlight what he wanted to would be a wise thing to do. I think it would be a strong signal to the business community that you recognize that, you know, we're in an environment that, you know, increasing polarization is not helpful.
Now, we did reach out to the mayor's office for a statement, but they referred us to his past comments.
Do you know Ken Griffin, Mr. President?
I do.
I figured you did because he's a very successful man, a great man just like you. And he wants to do a $6 billion project right here on Park Avenue. And who loves Park Avenue more than you? And you've got the mayor, this guy outside of his residence, and he does a whole film. And Ken Griffin goes above and beyond the fact that he just humiliated me. And I'm a billionaire looking to spend money in New York City. It's unsafe. He's doing a video from the front of where I live. And now Ken Griffin is thinking about taking that $6 billion project for a city, President Trump, that's $5.4 billion in debt, and taking that to Miami. How does that make sense?
Well, I do know Ken, and Ken's an amazing businessman, one of the best, and you don't want to lose people. He also pays a lot of taxes, like me. Right. We pay a lot of taxes. And, you know, when you lose people like that, it's sort of not recoverable. Always you say something's recoverable, right? But it's not recoverable. Then they build something else. They're going to be there for 30 years. They don't come back. And you've got to do the opposite. You've got to cherish them. You got to bring them to the office. You got to meet them. You have to have dinner with them. You have to convince them not to leave. You're going to make their life great. You're going to help them with their building, with their project. You got to do it. And I don't know if it's not hard to do, but maybe it is for some people. But you don't want to lose people like Ken. That would be a big loss for New York.
On Tuesday, I asked Mayor Mamdani's office, why does his wife appear to have a Spotify account with songs about greedy Jews and how Israel gonna die, bitch? By Wednesday, the account was totally shut down, 100% private. And this was just one of the things I found after more than a month of following every possible lead about who is Rama Dawaji and what does she actually believe. The first thing I learned through interviews and her digital footprint is that anti-Israel politics are really the glue of her social circle. It's the philosophy of her favorite bookstore, which boycotts Israeli products. Also, when she went to Paris Fashion Week last fall, and that is despite making about $10,000 last year, according to tax filings, she popped over to London, where even the vintage market she went to was all about Palestinian solidarity and opposition to the Jewish state. Her closest friends seem to share these values. One of her best friends posted an image of them that shows them at an anti-Israel rally in the aftermath of October 7th. But this is such a strong value for Rama, it even cuts across party lines, because I discovered she's liked posts from Tucker Carlson. And then there's a Spotify account I found that seems to belong to her. And there were 2 playlists that were made in the months after October 7th. One was called Hungry But Sexy for Palestine, and it had songs like Amrika, that's with 3 Ks, KKK, Intifada, and a song in Arabic that translates to I hate Israel. The mayor's office declined to comment for this story, but the First Lady's digital footprint has been a scandal for months now. And all that they've really said is that she's a private person. So then my question is, who answers for the First Lady's apparent Spotify account full of Jew and Israel-hating lyrics? This is all reporting that I did for the Free Press. It's out today at thefp.com.
We begin with the breaking news right here in Beijing. President Trump's mission to China, his high-stakes summit with President Xi. The 2 leaders about to meet for a second round of talks here. President Trump welcomed by President Xi with an elaborate ceremony at the Great Hall of the People. President Trump using flattery, calling President Xi a great leader here. Behind the scenes, the summit taking a serious turn. President Trump focusing on the war in Iran, asking China for help with its ally, Iran. The U.S. hoping China could put pressure on Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. President Xi delivering his own message here, a sharp warning to the U.S. about Taiwan. ABC's Mary Bruce here in Beijing, leading us off.
China giving President Trump the kind of spectacle he loves. Elaborate military displays. Children jumping and cheering. The full power of the Chinese state on display as the American delegation filed into the Great Hall of the People. Secretary of State Marco Rubio marveling at the ornate ceiling. Cameras jostling to get the shot as Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping entered the room. Trump lavishing praise on his host, calling Xi a friend, celebrating their, quote, fantastic relationship.
Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true.
Xi, a different, more formal tone. 双方合则两利. When our 2 sides cooperate, both benefit, he said. When we confront each other, both suffer. China and the United States should be partners instead of rivals. Trump brought with him the nation's leading CEOs, hoping to forge new ties on trade and technology. But according to Chinese state media, behind closed doors, Xi delivered a stark warning to the American president. Do not interfere in China's efforts to take over Taiwan. Threatening if handled poorly, the 2 countries will clash or even come into conflict, pushing the entire U.S.-China relationship into a very dangerous situation. Taiwan is an independent democracy, but China says it belongs to them, threatening to take it by force if necessary. After the meeting, both men tight-lipped.
How were your talks, sir?
It's great.
Did you talk about Taiwan?
Great place. Incredible. China's beautiful.
Trump came to Beijing with his own request that Xi use his influence over China's close ally, Iran, to open up the Strait of Hormuz, blockaded since Trump launched the war more than 10 weeks ago.
He said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help.
But it's unclear if Xi agreed to pressure Iran.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that.
And David, China was out first with its statement that warning about Taiwan. The White House readout came hours later and didn't lay out any specific progress, either on trade or Iran. And Xi has now announced he'll soon be welcoming another big visitor, Vladimir Putin. David.
Vladimir Putin coming here to China next. Mary Bruce leading us off here. Mary, thank you.
In a time when silence is everywhere, some voices refuse to stay quiet. Sid Rosenberg has used his platform to speak boldly, stand with Israel, and support the Jewish community when it matters most. At MJE's 27th annual dinner, we are proud to honor voices like Sid's. Join us May 27th.
It looks like it's over. Summer is here. Tomorrow, today is still going to be in the 60s as I make my way tonight to Citi Field, along with Bill O'Reilly and my beautiful son Gabriel, to watch the New York Mets host my team, the New York Yankees. Steve Cohen has been just great to me. He really has. And we text each other every now and then, and he's aware of why I abandoned ship. And if you watched the former Met pitcher Noah Syndergaard or listened to Noah this week, he was on with my friend Tommy Lahren on Outkick. He said, look, I was on that Met team. And you know who were really big conservatives on that team? Pete Alonso. He's not here anymore. Brandon Nimmo. He's not here anymore. Jacob deGrom. He's not here anymore. So while the Mets continue to deny that politics, specifically President Trump, the Mets, John Heyman, and others, to deny that that was part of the motivation behind getting rid of some of these guys. Noah Syndergaard, like I said, no, they were on the team, and the Mets didn't love that. But anyway, you look at it, I'll be there tonight, and Steve Cohen has been really great with me. He really has. Randy Levine is my new best friend. Well, second to Danielle, but Randy's been just amazing to me. But Steve Cohen came up big, and we got a big night ahead of us tonight. But starting tomorrow, 75 and sunny. Sunday, I'll be at the UBS Arena, the home of Lou Ruffino's New York Islanders. But, of course, there is no Islander hockey. What we've got Sunday is a game that was supposed to take place back during that massive snowstorm. The massive snowstorm that started on that Sunday, that was the day a couple of months ago that I was set to drop the first ceremonial puck at the second annual hockey game at the UBS between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Bruce Blakeman, current Nassau County executive, now my choice for governor, he dropped the opening puck last year. I've been bestowed the honor this year, and that's taking place this Sunday, but not before what's supposed to be an 82-degree sunny day. I will spend at least 4 hours with my fat Jewish ass on the beach. Right there, Louis. So by the time I get to the arena on Sunday, with Saturday and Sunday both gorgeous, hot, sunny days, I'll look more like Denzel Washington than a white Jewish kid from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying, Noam?
It's a good look, yeah.
It's a good look. I already have a great tan this morning. This is nothing. So summer
You're
is
very dark, actually.
Very dark.
Already. I don't know that you need to get any darker.
Oh, it's going to be much darker. I'm going to spend the next 2 days at the beach.
I know, but I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty
Nothing
dark.
I can do.
What are you trying to look
Minute
like?
bowl.
Okay, that's...
I want Minute Bowl's color.
Okay.
I think Tuesday is going to be 90 degrees. Is that right? So what's going to happen is, after I bitched and complained about the cold weather, trust me, one really hot, humid day, and I'll be like, bring back the cold. Because I hate extremes when it comes to weather. I don't like it when it's bone-chilling cold, which we had a lot this year. And I don't like it when it's sweltering heat. Hate it. So, like, tomorrow is going to be perfect, 75 and sunny. Once I start seeing mid-80s and 90, no thanks. How about you, Noam?
I'm that way, too. Like 75, 80, that's perfect. But anything higher.
Right, it gets nuts.
Yeah.
I don't like sweating in the morning. Like, when I leave I shower every morning. I'm big into hygiene. I dress very nicely. Most days I wear a sports jacket. And there are days when I'll leave my house. I've got 8 little steps outside my front door. Like it's another 15 feet after that to the car with Gene and Lou. And if I get in the car and I'm already sweating, that's not a good day. And that may be the case Tuesday. But at any rate, summer is here, and I think most of us are happy about that. Before I get into the meat of the day, congratulations. Hope he's listening to John Catsimatidis and Margot Catsimatidis, Chad Lopez. I'm sure if you guys saw this. Rios out in New Jersey, Liz sent us this morning. It is in Inside Radio. No, it's a big deal.
Right.
And it reads this: New York talker WABC leads America's top 10 AM stations. WABC, which flipped to talk in 1982 following 2 decades as New York's radio's primary top 40 station, offers a wide variety of locally originated programming, including 10-year morning host Sid Rosenberg. I've never been described. Usually I'm right-wing host, lunatic, Trump butt buddy.
Potty mouth,
right, running for mayor.
Shock jock.
That too.
Overly
Very good.
tan.
Overly tan, yes. 10-year morning show host Sid Rosenberg. And they go on to mention Katz and Cosby with John and Rita. And they also mention Cousin Brucey, who, of course, does his legendary show on the weekends. So, of all the AM stations across America, we are number 1. Well, how about that, Noam?
That's amazing. You and I have been at this station for years, right? I mean, I was here for like 16 years.
You were here before me. I'm only here for 10.
Yeah.
Going on 11.
I left for a while, and then I found my way back.
Right.
And
well, you didn't leave. We forced you to leave.
Yeah, you did.
Bernard got you fired.
No, it was you.
What
Bernard
is that now?
told me. Bernard told me that it was you that got me fired.
Well, Bernard's wrong, and
no, I believe Bernard.
Try finding him this morning to confirm that.
Yeah, well, that's why you're blaming him.
Wow, enjoyed that tan today.
Yeah.
Leave my boy Bernie alone. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that up, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah. I remember my
What
kids.
Can I tell you? He liked Juliet Huddy.
Yeah, my kids had to wear paper shoes for a while.
That's
it was
fine.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? It's like when Trump, when they took the election from him in 2020.
Right.
And he sat there for 4 years, and he knew when he came back this time around for his second presidency, he'd be better than ever. I can make the argument now, since you've come back, you're better than ever.
All right.
Wow.
So you getting fired was actually a blessing.
Right.
Because you were getting a little too...
what, I was getting too big?
Yeah, too big, your ego and all that. So.
I was on for like 7 hours a day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a little too long.
Sure.
Wait, so what were we talking about?
Well, the fact that we're number 1.
Oh, right, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So when I was here for all those years, we would lag in like the 20s.
23rd. When me and Bernie first started, we ended up 23rd.
And we didn't get much higher than that, by the way.
I think 14 was the highest.
High?
And our morning show, I think the highest I got with Bernard was barely cracked the top 10. Now we're number 1. But the station, 23, maybe, well, I think when Katz took over, now that I think about it, we were still in the 20s.
Yeah.
20s. Yeah.
So you think about that. In the short period of time, they've only owned the station, what is it, 4 years even?
5 years, I think.
It's 5 years?
Yeah.
That turnaround is spectacular. I mean, you can't make up that story.
You really can't. So I think in second is KFI. That's that big, booming AM station in Los Angeles. I think they're second. They've got that guy, Bill Handel, there. And you may remember 2 years ago, when Jason Barrett gave me the Radio Personality of the Year. This is across the country, folks, not just in New York. I was awarded by the industry standard the Radio Personality of the Year, but my morning show didn't win. We lost to this guy, Bill Handel, in Los Angeles. That was 2 years ago. This year, we beat Bill Handel. In fact, Bill Handel ended up in third this year. Behind us was Scott Stanford and 10-10 wins. So, KFI in L.A. is number 2. And they're also a Marconi finalist, I will tell you. Third place is a Spanish station. They're out of San Juan. I don't know who the rest of these are. I don't care. News Radio 740. They came in 4th place. They're a big-time Houston station. And rounding out the top 5 would be Odyssey's News Radio 950, which is in Detroit. So Detroit, number 5. Houston, number 4, San Juan, number 3, Los Angeles, number 2, and here, New York, number 1. So congratulations to John, Rita, Chad, and, of course, myself, because without me, you're never even close to number 1. So let's have an honest conversation. Yeah. When you're ready for that, we'll have an honest conversation. Not even close. And congratulations to you, Noam.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You've done a tremendous job.
Yes.
After your turnaround.
Yeah. Right. Every now and then you need to humble yourself.
Look who's talking.
Shut up, Lou.
Oh, my God. What? Every now and then, just a little bit.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the we got a lot of great guests coming on today. We'll talk a lot about China. Brian Kilmeade later on this hour. KT McFarland next hour. I saw it, pomp and circumstance like you've never seen. It was really cool watching Elon Musk and Jensen Huang and all these guys hanging out with Chinese businessmen. It was fun watching Trump speak after Xi, and it had all the pomp and circumstance you could ever want. I'm not sure in terms of actual meat what we got out of this. Xi's like, yeah, I'll get involved with Iran. I'll try to help you, but he didn't really specify how he was going to do that. So it seems to me like there was a lot of gesturing, a lot of complimenting, but in terms of actual accomplishments, I'm not sure. What did you see, Noam?
Well, look, we rely on each other in a huge way. So the fact that the two got along and that she is going to come here in September, I think that's a big deal. If you look at like the individual deals, I mean, there were some big moments here. They have that rare earth mineral exports. China agreed to resume exporting the rare earth minerals, and that's what we use to, make cell phones for defense, tech, energy production. It's a big deal. The other, there's a couple other big things that they made a deal on TikTok that they wanted to transfer it from China to America. Apparently now this is all signed off on. The beef industry's happy what happened during this summit because Beijing wasn't taking meat from American slaughterhouses. Some deal that we had with them had ended, I guess, back in March. Now those beef companies can resume beef shipments to China, so that's a big deal. So there's a lot to take away from what happened in Beijing.
Okay, good. So you're very high on this summit.
Look, anytime that two leaders of the two biggest powerhouses in the world meet, have a good time together, and actually have something they can show from the meeting, I think that's a win for both sides.
100%. You just nailed it. Anytime you can do that with, a country that's been an adversary, there's no question about it. You look at our, rivals. I still believe what I said to Gordon Chang last week, I should say, is true, and that is the three biggest powers in the world today are the United States, China, and Russia. I'm not sure, though, if there's another superpower outside of us because China and Russia are broke. I don't think you folks understand that. They're literally broke. They got nothing. They got no money. Russia's spending all their money getting their asses kicked by the Ukrainians. And China is in very, very bad situations with their economy. It's a very bad situation. So I maintain that we're the only superpower. I'm not saying that China and Russia are not strong countries. They're 2 and 3. But we're the big dog. And anytime, like you said, you can spend a couple of days with one of your adversaries and have productive conversations, it's a good thing. I can't think of anything bad about this. I'm sure that if you put on MS Now right now or CNN or NPR or any of these lunatics, they'll find something bad, but you really can't say anything bad about it. So, we can't go get too crazy over it because, again, we have to see what China does when it comes to Iran, what real business dealings we end up with. All these things need to come to fruition, but at the very least, to your point, Norman, you're right, it's a very good start. Let me get to the mayor. We did play that piece that the mayor, I guess, according to the local reports, has tried to reach out to Ken Griffin. And I'm going to say this for Ken. If Ken doesn't feel this way, he can reach out to me whenever he wants. I think Ken feels like this mayor is an asshole and wants nothing to do with him. Nothing. Because the reports are that Mamdani reached out to him more than once and Ken hasn't responded. By the way, and they'll deny this, Mamdani's people have reached out to people in an effort to meet with me. Did you know that, Noam?
I'd heard that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's not going to happen. I'm in the same boat as Ken Griffin. Not that I have $6 billion or $6 million, but I have no desire to meet with the man. None. There's nothing he's going to say to me, no matter how much he smiles or shakes my hand. He's not going to say anything to me that's not going to convince me that he's not a terrible person.
And the only person in the city that may be worse than him is his evil, wretched, ugly wife. Yeah, I said it. I said it. Inside and outside, Rama Duwaji is disgusting. But Griffin, I don't think, wants to meet with this guy. Now, Julie Menon got involved, and, you know, guys, you're hearing it on this show. I've been giving Julie Menon more and more credit, much to the chagrin, of course, of my dear friend Vicky Palladino, but I'm able to separate the two. Julie Menon did a very bad job with Vicky, very bad. From the moment she took over as the Speaker of the City Council, when she embarrassed Vicky unprovoked for no reason, that was not good. And then, of course, it got to the point where you got lawyers involved after some of Vicky's tweets. So I think that Menon has bungled the whole Vicky Palladino situation from the very beginning. And because I love Vicky, I really do. And she's a great, great council person here in New York, one of only 5 Republicans, it made me angry. Still does. But her job is a lot bigger than just Vicky Palladino. And whether it's trying to get these buffer zones in front of synagogues, in front of yeshivas, or like in this case yesterday where she came out and she publicly, like she did to me, publicly criticized the mayor. Now, she was rougher on me. She called me an Islamophobe twice, whatever that means. But she did come out and say that the mayor's rhetoric when it came to Ken Griffin doesn't help a city that is losing jobs, 27,000. So I got to give, once again, City Council Speaker Julie Menon credit this morning, no.
Yeah, well, you think about all those construction jobs, the employees he would put in that building at 345 Park. If he walks away from that, and he hasn't said he's going to, but if he walks away from that, that's huge. And what insiders are saying is that he just wants a public apology from the mayor for that TikTok video that he shot in front of his house. He says putting him in harm's way where people now know where he lives. And he says apparently this is what people around him say. If he gets a public apology from the mayor for shooting that video, then he'll meet with him.
Oh, why wouldn't he do it? I mean, I myself, again, for the millionth time, you can say what you want, tweet what you want, write what you want. John Catsimatidis never texted or called me once to apologize. Not once. Not Chad Lopez, not anybody. Friends and family reached out and said, this one could get a little hairy. So I decided myself, with zero complaints and 0 threats, to do what I did. And I did it. I apologized. Why can't this idiot apologize? He should apologize. By the way, he should go on an apology tour. All he should do is apologize every day. He's got a lot of people, Mamdani and his wretched wife, that they can apologize to. A lot of people. So start with Ken Griffin, because the damn city is broke, taking $8 million, $8 billion from the state. That doesn't help taxpayers. You didn't do anything good a couple days ago. You took the money from us again. This time, state money instead of city money. So he should go on a full-fledged apology tour and start right here with Ken Griffin. How about that?
Not going to happen, but yeah. What politician do you know that apologizes? Not very many of them out there.
Bob Menendez did.
Right, but that was after they found gold bars and cash in his home.
You go to prison.
Yeah. But otherwise, right, politicians are not usually the kind of people who apologize because they don't want it to come back and bite them somewhere down the road.
Sure, I get it. But he's so wrong here. Like, there's nothing.
Well, he is wrong. But
right. I know he tried to explain it away. You heard me try to explain it away. I think you played that this morning. Did you play that?
What's that?
Somebody else did. When Mamdani tried to explain
yesterday,
away.
I played that.
Oh, you played it yesterday?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that cut at some point today. I'd never heard that.
It might take me a little while to find it, but I can play it for you.
So then the story comes out now about Rama Duwaji, his wife. Yes, the same lady that now we've caught liking on social media graphic photos and videos of young girls being raped, babies being murdered, children being killed in front of their parents. She loves it, all in the spirit of the freedom fighters that are the Palestinians and Hamas. Israel deserves this. You remember that? A couple months ago? Then she did some illustration, some kid's book with a lady who's a raging anti-Semite, tried to lie to us and tell us she didn't know, but we caught her again. Now we've got her again. This time it turns out she's got a couple of Spotify music playlists, which includes songs with lyrics that say, F Israel, I hate Israel, die Israeli bitches, I mean, these are some of the lyrics, right, Noam?
Yeah. They're pretty intense lyrics. Yeah.
Pretty intense. This is Rama Dawaji. What a disgusting human being. And the mayor, all he can say about his ugly wife, inside and out, is I love her. She's not a public figure. No, stupid. She's the first lady of New York City. That makes her a very public figure. Like I said to you before, you can make the argument that Danielle's a public figure. She's married to the most influential and highest-rated radio host in New York. That makes her, to a certain extent, a public individual, let alone the mayor's wife. Is he nuts? So we should get an apology for that too, right? No?
Well, and we won't get that.
So no apology to Ken Griffin. No apology for his wife, Rama. None of that? That's all asking too much, I guess, right?
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. What else is going on?
Do we have any of the actual music that she was listening to?
Well,
we're
going to get it.
Okay.
We're going to try to play it at some point today. Lewis will find it, yes. So we'll get that at some point today. What else is going on in this city?
Well, here in the city, the big story today is going to be this LIRR strike deadline, which is midnight tonight. The MTA, the unions representing workers, they met until late last night, MTA headquarters downtown, could not come up with a deal. Apparently, there's some sticking point in the fourth year of this deal. They want higher wages. MTA saying, no, we're not going to give you any more money. So right now, they are going to meet again today. But right now, it's looking like the strike might happen. And if it does, you're talking about 300,000 commuters who take the LIRR would be in a bad way come, Saturday. Now, they purposely do it on the weekend to give them a couple more days before the weekly commute to try to get it done. But this would not be good, obviously, if it lasted into Monday.
Terrible, actually.
Yeah. Otherwise, and then there's another nightmare. I don't know if you saw this huge sinkhole opened up.
It's a big stinkhole.
It is 10-foot wide, 8 feet deep, opened up on the LIA. This is about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. And this driver, he's from New Jersey. He's going into the westbound lanes right in Melville there. And he's driving home, and he thinks it's a puddle that's ahead of him. Like he sees something in the roadway is opened up, but he thinks it's water. So I have him. His name is Jimmy Jimenez. And he drove right into this thing. And this is what he said it was like.
It's scary. So by the grace of God, I'm fine. I didn't get hurt, thank God. It looked like it was wet until you got right on it, and my both tires blew out.
You had to see the picture of this thing.
Oh, my God.
It's in this hole, basically.
Where is it again now?
Right at it's westbound on the LIE, so city bound.
Yeah.
And right at exit 49. So overnight, they were trying to patch this thing up, but it's not easy. It's huge.
Yeah, we didn't hit any stinkholes this morning coming into work, me and Lou with Gene, but we hit a lot of potholes. I got to tell you, that trip on the Gowanus, because Gene takes the Brooklyn Bridge. So we're on the Gowanus, as you know, for quite some time till we get to the bridge. It's a mess. I mean, every couple of feet, Lewis and I, our heads are almost hitting the top of the car in the back seat. It's every morning. So I keep hearing about all these potholes. What an amazing job Hochul and Mamdani did to fix all these potholes. Yet every morning, by the time Lou and I get to work, it's almost like we were wrestling. Our bodies are all over the place, like you do when you fall from the sky in a wrestling ring. I mean, we are literally sore by the time we get out of the car. Not Gene's fault. He's a great driver. There are potholes everywhere. And then try to get off exit 9. Happens to be the 42nd Street exit off the FDR. You got to go like 5 miles per hour.
That's been like that for
forever.
A long time.
Yeah. So you got stinkholes, you got potholes, and you got assholes. That's New York City.
Perfect.
Oh, that's good. Isn't that good?
Good combo.
Good.
Oh, my God. That is brilliant.
Shirt for the weekend.
Yeah, that's why ABC's #1 across the world.
It really is.
That is a T-shirt right there, right?
That's it.
What do you think, Noam?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Yeah, why not? We got a huge show about to come your way today, too. I'm in a very good mood today. It's Friday, summer, great temperatures. I'll be on the beach this weekend. Met game tonight. Big hockey game on Sunday. I'm being honored about 20 times in the next couple of weeks. I'm going back to Israel, which I'm really excited about, June 18th. Really excited. This will be the first time I go to Israel, and I'm not going to be doing the show every day. I have a chance to actually enjoy the country instead of running off of, the Jordan River to make it to Jerusalem in time to host a radio show. So this is going to be really cool. Danielle's coming, Gabriel, and we have a lot of spots we're going to go visit. I'm going to go see the wounded at Hadassah Hospital. That's a big deal, Noam, right?
That is, yeah.
That's huge. I'm going to be speaking, of course. The reason why I'm going is because of the JNS second annual international summit, the policy summit. It's a big one. They open up on Sunday with Bibi speaking, and I'll be in the audience, of course, up on stage. And then they close it out on a Tuesday night. And at least last year, at the inaugural, the last block on that Tuesday night was me, Mark Levin, Mike Huckabee, Morton Klein, Victoria Coates, Ron Dermer. Huge names. And that's going to be the case again this year. This one's even bigger than last year at the beautiful Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Jerusalem. So that's coming up, in less than about a month. And Ariella Novak is actually taking us this trip. Usually it's the One Israel Fund with Scott Peltman, but this time it's going to be Ariella Novak. She's going to join me coming up next. So a lot of cool stuff coming up here in Ulm. It's going to be a very, very nice summer.
Yeah, a trip to Israel, that's pretty great.
Yeah, when was the last time you went?
Unfortunately, when my father passed away last year.
Oh, that's right. He died last. I'm sorry.
Yep.
That's right. Before that, it'd been a while, right?
You could take me now, so like the next experience would be much nicer than my
I'd
last
love
experience.
to take you. I had no idea you wanted to go.
Yeah, of course.
Well, let me see what I can do.
I still have a younger brother who lives there. So.
Now, where does he live? In Tel Aviv?
Haifa.
Oh, Haifa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I have a lot of connections, so let me see what I can do, okay?
All right.
A lot of connections. We'll take our first break. We're going to talk to Ariella Novak and then go into Brian Kilmeade. He's going to join us in the first hour as well. Our colleague here on WABC and a legitimate star at Fox News, Ariella Novak.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, I'm so excited about making my return to Israel. I've been talking about it a lot the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, and usually it's Scott Beltman and the One Israel Fund and Judah Honickman and Gabriel Boxer, all those great guys make it possible. But this time around, it's my friend Ariella Novak, who's been on this show a couple times before. She's actually terrific, and she's making this thing happen. Ariella, if you don't know who she is, you should. She's been doing a lot of great work in the Middle East for years. She's the co-founder of the nonprofit Bottom Line Media, and she knows everything about anti-Semitism and Middle East affairs. I mean, everything, with extensive experience covering Jewish communities worldwide. So let's start with a good morning to you, Ariella, and I'm very excited about going back to Israel, this time with you and your group. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me, and good morning.
Good morning to you. Before we get to the actual Israel trip, I know you went to a big event on Wednesday. The Embassy of Israel was in Washington, and it did mark the 78th Independence Day, the big Independence Day for Israel, now 78 years old, and a bunch of big-time politicians were there. Gottheimer was there out of New Jersey, Moskowitz, they were there. You also had my friend Dr. Leiter, terrific ambassador. Mm-hmm. He was there as well. Mike Huckabee, the tremendous President Trump ambassador to Israel. He replaced David Friedman this time around. That was a star-studded event on Wednesday night. Tell me about that big night.
It was really special sitting third row. Had an eye on everything. And, of course, Jared Moskowitz, as you mentioned, is the representative, and Gottheimer spoke so beautifully. And the main line that stood out to me and gave me real chizuk, as we say, real strength, they said, no defense, only offense. We stand tall, we stand proud, and we fight anti-Semitism. And they meant it, and you felt it. It was strong, and it was amazing.
Well, it's been a brutal week.
Democrats.
Yeah, I know. Those are two Democrats. You're right. Gottheimer, who's actually done something for my son's disability, dyspraxia. He's working on a bipartisan bill with Mike Lawler to get at the federal funding and all the exposure it needs. So I like Gottheimer. Moskowitz, too. But it's been a particularly brutal week. You know, folks were getting on me for a while. Oh, you're talking about Israel. Listen, tough, man. I mean, you saw those violent Midwood, Brooklyn riots. They weren't protests or rallies. They were riots. Swastikas all over Queens. A swastika flying high above the NYU commencement address just a couple of days ago. That's really, really disgusting. And when I look at all these different horrible things going on in this city, particularly the Jews under attack, not the Muslims, there's no such thing as Islamophobia. It doesn't exist. But anti-Semitism exists in a big way. I can't help, Ariella, but blame a lot of this on the mayor, his rhetoric, how he really feels. He can smile all he wants. He can say, I represent everybody in the city all he wants. We know that him and his wretched, vile wife, they don't like the Jewish people, and I believe it's translating to the streets of New York City.
Well, firstly, I just want to say, as soon as I see photos of his Passover Seder that he hosted, did you know anyone sitting around that table?
Nobody.
I didn't.
No.
No one. I mean, not that I'm looking for an invitation there, but in the last administration, I was there celebrating all of the Jewish events. No one I know is invited, which is what it is, right? But it's fake. You can make all the statements, as you just said. You can make all the statements you want. Where is the action? It's about shutting it down. It's not putting those policemen in harm's way. There's freedom of speech, and then there's problem. Problem means people can get hurt. Problem means executing your right to speak, but hurting others. At what point do you want to put people in harm's way as opposed to shutting it down? That's what needs to happen. No more comments. Change. Stop that.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I had Michael Rappaport on the show a couple of days ago. Mike and I are very, very, very close. He's got a great documentary coming out during the Tribeca Film Festival on June the 9th about how he's basically giving up. He's given up a lot of his career success. He's a great actor, great comedian, because he's very outspoken about Israel and the Jewish people, and he's gotten a whole bunch of stuff canceled, including comedy shows. He's had threats on his life. And, he kind of said the same thing, that he's tired of seeing all this happen time and time again in the city. Both him and Dov Hikind on my show this week said maybe it's actually time for Jewish people to reform the JDL into a more physical group where Jews can physically defend themselves, because, like you said, the mayor does a lot of talking, no action. He had a chance to allow that buffer zone in front of yeshivas. He vetoed it, what Julie Menon and the city council came up with. He also would have vetoed the synagogue bill, but the truth is they had enough votes. So you're right, Ariella. Time and time again, the mayor, all he does is talk when he's got the ability to act. Everything he does says, I don't care about the Jews.
By the way, I just want to push that into the same conversation. In December, like 2 years ago, there was a conversation floating around when the mayor was speaking with Mehdi Hassan. And he said, would you arrest, Bibi Netanyahu if he comes here? And again, he said yes, because he's in violation of, and I'm not going to go through of all the things he said. But again, he is all talk. He has no right to act on something. We don't even follow the ICC. So, I mean, he's all talk. And these actions where he stands in front of the building where the richest people live, which actually employ thousands of New Yorkers, and donate, I don't remember the number, but X amount back to New York. What is he doing? Taking more debt and then taking more money from the governor's budget so he can wipe out his? What strategy is this?
$8 billion. And for folks who may be dumb, that's why I'm here to educate you. You live in New York. You pay state taxes. So any bailout money that Kathy Hochul gives to Mamdani and the city, that comes back to you. So he didn't do anybody any favors. He's a liar, and he's a magician. But the smart people in this city, they've got this guy figured out. They just do. Now, this is a very big month for the Jewish people. It is, in fact, Jewish Heritage Month. Yes, a couple years ago, I did make my way to Gracie Mansion and watched Eric Adams speak one night. He was very good, but he also, I got my issues with him. I could do a whole show on that as well. But Jewish Heritage Month in New York, Ariella, what does that mean to you?
Well, last year, I remember now. Where was I? Gracie Mansion. We all celebrated together. We had a wonderful time there. We had our last meal. in Gracie Mansion. And I think it was in July that it was hosted a bit late. And I remember saying, and we walked around saying, oh no, it's our last time visiting here. But we celebrated it together as New Yorkers. Proud, right? And somebody else we should recognize, Kemi Badenoch, right? The Conservative Party leader in the UK. She's telling everyone how to act, how to be. And she's saying no more nonsense. We ought to take a lesson from someone across the Atlantic, and how she's speaking and how she's standing up.
Yeah, no, they're about to fix a lot of stuff there. Stormer got his butt beat a couple of weeks ago. His party took a vicious beating, the Labour Party, and looks like they are paving the way for my friend and Trump's friend, Nigel Farage, to actually be the man there in the UK. If that's going to be the case, a lot of these anti-Semitism issues and money issues and loyalty issues in the UK will go away overnight if Nigel Farage takes over in a couple of years for Stormer. One last thing. I mentioned we're going to Israel, and again, I usually go
ago with One Israel Fund, and I do these amazing, amazing tours. Eve Harrow and Joshua in the Land and all these great people taking me all over Israel. And then I was doing my show from there for the most part the last couple of times. This is not about the show. This trip is more about the JNS.org summit. I did have Alex Treman live in studio just yesterday. That was fantastic. He's in from Jerusalem. What else can we expect to see on this next trip to the Holy Land?
Perfect. Firstly, we're so excited. I'm so excited to host you. So I have a nonprofit called Bottom Line Media. And what we do is we work to bring people to Israel. And the whole goal is everyone to see it for themselves and also eat everything you see and meet the people and go to all the sites. And what does that mean? What is of value to you? There's so much if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, there's so many things to learn that we're all together. And this time we're doing something really special. Actually, just confirmed yesterday, we'll be seeing your friend, Ambassador Huckabee. He'll be coming to Hadassah Hospital, where we'll be going on the Sunday that we're there to see. Really, the Hadassah Hospital to me is like if the Jetsons had a hospital. That is what it's like there. And they're the only American hospital in Israel offering so much to so many. And they're really ahead, not even just building the innovation. They are ahead of innovation and bringing us where innovation needs to be. So we're going to see that with our own eyes. And we're going to see Ambassador Huckabee for lunch as well. He'll come greet us.
Nice.
And we have a few people that you're going to know as well. I know there's Xavier coming with us from PragerU, which is exciting. This guy, he's a Babka King, and he calls himself. He'll be with us.
I love him. I love that guy. He's great. I saw him at the Young Israel in Jamaica Estates, him and his wife, back when they honored me a couple of months ago. He makes the best babka in the world. That guy's great.
Yeah, so we have a lot of great people, and our great group, I should say. And, of course, we're going to the greatest conference with JNS. I did their podcasting last year. I'll be doing it again this year. And this is how the idea was born. While I was podcasting, I kept saying, wow, I'm learning and meeting so many people. I wish others, that are reporters and journalists can come and, get as much information like I am and as many sources as me. And from that idea last year, I said, next year I'll be bringing journalists. And that is what we're doing. So we will be arriving the 19th of June into Israel. And I'm so excited, hopefully spending some time in both Tel Aviv and then straight to Jerusalem. And we're going to also get a tour of Rama. We'll be the first group to go there because their coffee is so good. We'll meet with the head of the police, and it'll be a great time.
It's going to be great. Ariella, thank you for hopping on this morning. You really do tremendous work. You're a bright young lady. You're terrific. And we'll bring you on one more time before we actually hop on that LL flight and make our way to Israel. But thank you for a couple of really great minutes on this Friday morning. Good Shabbos. We'll talk again very, very soon. Thank you so much.
You got it. Talk soon.
God bless you. Ariella Novak right there, a really, really terrific young lady who fights every day in the media to make sure that all these lies about Israel and the Jewish people. But what she does is she works with journalists all over the world. In fact, the people coming with us, a lot of them are Christian people. They're not Jewish people. And I say this all the time. If we're going to win this war on anti-Semitism, which is a lot bigger and uglier than New York tells you it is, it's really ugly. If we're going to win this war, we need the help of the Christian people. And for the most part, they are helping us. They do a great job. Take a short break. Friday edition, Sid and Friends in the morning.
This is Sid on Sports. Oh, my goodness! Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Ellick here with your sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers. Start on the diamond in Queens. A.J. Ewing hit his first big league homer to spark a comeback for the Mets. Completed a 3-game sweep of the Tigers, 9-4 win yesterday. Ewing, who was promoted prior to the series opener on Tuesday, hit a 405-foot shot off Kiter Montero, leading off the third. He was 3 for 9, 3 RBI, 4 walks against the Tigers as the Mets recorded their first sweep since taking 3 straight from the Phillies in August.
Now, he's made a difference, but they hit 5 home runs yesterday.
They did?
5.
Yes, indeed.
It wasn't just A.J. Ewing.
No, Brett Beatty. You had Marcus Semien hit one.
Juan Soto
hit one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We're missing one.
Mark Vientos, sir.
There you go. So, yes, Ewing is playing well. First series up, swept the Tigers, did a good job, but 5 home runs for the Mets, and we'll see how that Yankee pitching. I'll be there tonight in Queens, thanks to Steve Cohen, and there's a very good pitching matchup. Both of these guys are pitching, I believe, to sub-2 ERAs. Mm-hmm. Schlittler for the Yankees, and the former Yankee, Clay Holmes or the Mets.
Yep, it should be a good matchup tonight. You might be the only one of us on the crew actually watching that game, because if you're watching on television, it's on Apple TV.
Apple TV. Well, I've got Apple TV.
Yeah,
Who in America doesn't have Apple TV?
No, so do I.
You can also, if you really want to have fun, you can go to Times Square tonight, which is horrible.
Yeah, what?
But they're actually going to show the Met Yankee, the whole series, I believe.
Oh, great.
On the big screen in Times Square. I thought I saw that on New York One. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw on one of the big screens in Times Square.
Maybe that's just an advertisement for the series starting.
I don't think so. I think that's what I saw on New York One. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll text Cohen.
Okay,
but
I
did see that. So if you don't have Apple TV, then take the train to Times Square and buy a whole bunch of meth and stuff and watch the game.
Wear your diaper.
Yeah, wear your diaper. And
exactly, all those
fun.
Things. Right.
Yeah.
First
Go to
pitch.
Applebee's.
Yeah, Applebee's. First pitch from Citi Field tonight, 7:15. Let's head to the NBA. Quiet night last night, silent night last night. No action there, but looking ahead to tonight, 7 p.m. start for the Pistons and Cavaliers out in Cleveland. Cleveland up in that series, 3-2 Eastern Conference semifinals, and they are 3.5-point favorites heading into Game 6 tonight. Of course, the winner of that series will meet our New York Knicks in the conference finals. Could start as early as Sunday if the Cavs do win tonight. 9:30 p.m. tonight, the Spurs and the Timberwolves will pick up their Western Conference semifinals series in Minnesota. Game 6 there, San Antonio leading 3-2. Check in on the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. Final from Buffalo last night. Canadians doubling up the Sabres 6-3 in the Eastern Conference second round. Game 5 there. Montreal now leading 3-2. And out in Anaheim, the Golden Knights took care of the Ducks in Game 6, 5-1. Vegas wins that series 4-2. They'll meet the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Finals starting next Wednesday night.
That is a great series.
Yeah, that'll be
Vegas and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm still taking Colorado. They're a wagon, but Vegas and Colorado, great.
Yeah, Colorado's the best team in hockey, but Vegas, you talk about a team that's not been around long and has had great success.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's like Florida, same thing. Yeah. No one thinks about Vegas or Florida when you think about hockey, and yet there are two amazing franchises.
Well, you pay these guys well enough, they'll play anywhere. Some money and a sheet of ice. That's all we need. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal under you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, so like most people, I had Fox News on. I have it on every day. It's my favorite. Yesterday morning, and I enjoyed watching the pomp and circumstance as they were getting ready for that big state banquet and watching Rubio and Hegseth and all these people mingle, and Elon Musk sitting at a table with a bunch of Chinese businessmen, and just awaiting, of course, the entry of both President Xi and President Trump. Before that, we saw Eric and Laura Trump walk in, and then, of course, you got the president and Xi spoke first. Nice little speech. Trump spoke after. He was great. Told the president of China how much Americans love Chinese food. And now they're on their way home. In fact, Sean Hannity texted me at 4:15 this morning and said, Sid, I'm on the way home. I said, Sean, great job, all you guys, but now it's time to figure out exactly what did we accomplish. And there's nobody better to talk to than my dear friend Brian Kilmeade. Does an amazing job following me each and every morning here on 77 WABC at 10. Fox and Friends every morning. And the best cable show, One Nation, 10 p.m. Sunday nights. I'll be on next week, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. So, Brian, there's a lot to discuss here. I think the major issue remains Taiwan, but there's a lot to be optimistic about. What are your thoughts?
Number one, they just want stability in their relationship. So anything happens, and things are going to happen, communicate. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you don't just don't just have summits with your friends. For people to say, why are we talking to them? Of course, you got to talk to them. The other superpower, are you crazy? We talked to the Soviets through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Every president tried to get something going. And we said, well, they're evil. They're fighting us in Vietnam. They're fighting us in Korea. They're proxy wars all over Africa. What are we doing? We kept talking. So anyone who's critical, I think, just it makes no sense. But shelve that. I think 30 CEOs that didn't know have Chinese connections and now have connections. Like Tesla doesn't need it. Tim Cook doesn't need it of Apple. I got it. But the other people have connections. And what we want to do is set up businesses, I got it, that don't have any technical or security elements to it. So go over there with some businesses. You could exchange and try to get access to the billion people over there, or close to 1 billion people. All right. I'm not too confident that they'll buy any of our products. They have no money. I don't think, I think they're a declining power. I think they're a formidable power. I think they're absolutely a declining power. If you look at their childbirth, they're diminishing in population. They cannot employ their graduates from college. And they're fining the presidents of universities when the students can't get jobs. They have make jobs. Sid, get this. They have people who can't get jobs, so they make them dress up, go to work like they're going to work, sit in a building, and then they come home in order to get paid. They're pretending to work. So please stop telling us how formidable that they are because they're trying to get influence in all these other countries. I mean, we've basically caught them selling arms, and the president didn't really acknowledge that yesterday, back to Iran or giving them arms. I think all the focus is going to be on Iran. The takeaway is the 200 Boeing jets, but over how many years? I think the takeaway is the respect they showed the president. And it isn't just, hey, Mr. President, you're great. It was, okay, there's a pageantry. There is the high-ranking vice president greeting him at the tarmac. There is the toast to the president. We are two, he said, we are two of the most important we are two of the most important powers in the world. It's important we communicate. And I'm thinking about Vladimir Putin. I'm thinking about all our enemies and thinking, wow, we tried to isolate America. We tried to get the world off the dollar. And now we have our number one nemesis saying that we're the most important country and we want to have peaceful relations. So I think those are positives. And the next step is now immediately, it's almost like you win the semifinals, but you can't celebrate because you got to go to the finals. And I think right now you go, okay, great. Now focus on Iran for every reason. Sid, I know you're tired of it. Most Americans are tired of it. We see the inflation numbers. Everyone knows. But now I think it's time to finish these guys off. And Iran could open up that strait with a phone call to say, I can help you any way you want. Mr. Brady, he said, President Trump, I'll help you. Let me know how. Well, we know how. You can open up the strait. You tell Iran, back off. They have to back off because you are sustaining what's left of the economy and country. So I think everything's coming to a head.
You know what's funny, though, is, and the Post said this morning, as good as these last couple of days were, he just did a really great job, Brian, as always, of detailing it. This can go south in a heartbeat. You know, I always talk about Putin is going to China next. For folks that don't know, Putin is on his way to China next. But Putin will call President Trump, and they'll have this great phone call. Putin loves Trump. He looks at Trump like a matinee idol. He loves him. And Trump will go, hey, Vlad, do me a favor, okay? Don't bomb anybody today. And Putin will go, okay. And 10 minutes after that, 10 minutes, not 10 days, he'll bomb the hell out of some little town in Ukraine. The same thing can happen here with Xi and, of course, North Korea and Iran. Well, Trump is the best ever because he does go out of his way to say nice things because that's how you get stuff done. It makes the Democrats angry because they're stupid. Trump knows what he's doing, but you really can't trust any of these people, including the Chinese.
Of course, and why the president says if I stop the Chinese students from coming here, it's really going to hurt the university system. Well, okay, maybe we got too many colleges. So, Harvard can afford to lose some people that are paying full freight. That's what China does. We have no idea their grades. And they come over here and they pay the full tuition. But they're all obligated to spy on us. And we catch them. We've got these guys moving basically IEDs over to the University of Michigan. We got 3 of them. I mean, how many more proof do we need? We just got a mayor in Arcadia, California, who admitted to being a Chinese spy. So why would we bring 6,000 Chinese students here or 60,000? I forgot what the number is. Who knows? I wouldn't bring one. So I think that we have to be a little bit smarter about it because, well, it's an insult to kick out. The president said it's an insult to kick out all these students. I don't care. I know bringing culturally here, but as long as they're obligated to spy on us, to get our best research and get out of the country, I think we should really rethink that. So I think the president does not want to do that. They also own our farmland, but the president said yesterday, well, they keep buying our farmland. If we just make them give up what they bought, it's going to hurt the farmers. Obama never should have let them buy them. I don't know. If I'm the federal government, I go, look, we're buying you out today. Goodbye. We're buying you out. Get going. And little by little, let the farmers buy their land back, or Americans like Bill Gates and these other guys see it as a good investment, and they bring it back to this country. So I would love to see these things moved on. The president's got his own agenda there. doesn't want to rankle feathers because he sees the big picture.
The big picture is we retain the House and the Senate in November, and Marco Rubio becomes president in 2028. No disrespect to J.D. Vance.
JD for you?
No, J.D. No, I'm begging you, please stop it. And Trump doesn't want J.D. there either. There's a reason why 2 nights ago J.D. Vance was in Maine, okay, doing an anti-fraud rally in Bangor, Maine, and Marco Rubio was in Beijing with Trump. I mean, if you don't see the tea leaves writing on the wall that everything this country does that's important, Marco Rubio is right there, and J.D. Vance has basically been relegated to you do fraud stuff in states across the country. It is increasingly obvious that Trump and America has great confidence that Rubio can be president, not so much with Vance.
Sid, maybe if you gave him sodium pentothal, he says, Rubio's a better choice.
100%.
I still think that it's JD's if he wants it.
So then why would JD? Hold on. Why would JD Vance be in Bangor, Maine 2 days ago when every major official, everyone, was with President Trump in Beijing, China?
You can't have the president and vice president together going over to China. It's too much of a security risk.
Okay.
So you put the Secretary of State, foreign affairs. So it kind of makes sense. So to have both of them together would be as dumb as putting him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which they did, and which was ridiculous. But believe it or not, the fraud stuff is something that resonates a lot in America with Americans, like in New York. All the crazy, this thing we have where if you go to watch your parent, they pay you. So you become the caregiver for your parent in the later years. Well, there's all these no-show jobs, people abusing it, invisible people getting Medicaid and the hospice care over in California. So that evidently, domestically, has been just a huge thing. Another thing that the Trump administration's doing that's resonating. And that's what happened in Minneapolis. Remember, they wanted to distract us in Minneapolis by making ICE the bad guys. The big story in Minneapolis is how many Somalis stole how many millions from our federal government and shipped it back to that terroristic country. And that was the big story. And then we find the same thing in Maine. We find the same thing in Ohio, red state, and California. Nothing's worse. They had a hospice on like every block, and none of them, they were just empty hulks of buildings. So this is it is one of these issues that they can run on.
No, they've done a great job between, JD's doing it now, but Anthony D'Esposito, he's done a terrific job in the Labor Department, uncovering billions. Lee Zeldin, EBA, has uncovered billions. So no question that this administration has taken that very, very seriously. And when we have money issues in this country, which we're actually heading in the right direction right now, that type of stuff becomes very valuable. Okay, 2 days away, One Nation, 10 p.m. every Sunday night on Fox News. And even before that, you got a great radio show coming up today, Kilmeade. So give me the radio show first, and then what we're going to watch on Sunday night.
I got Claire Lai. Her dad has been imprisoned at 77 years old and is near death, and he's a great self-made billionaire, friend of so many people in the West. He refused to shut his newspaper down, so they arrested him in Hong Kong, and they're trying to get him out. His daughter joins me, Senator Capito of West Virginia, on the chances of getting this supplemental bill out to pay for DHS. Mark Thiessen's going to be with us. Mark is in meeting with the president pretty consistently about where we're going in Iran. We'll get the latest. Tyrus will be on because he wants, and Shannon Bream. No, Tyrus is the best. And we're going to do the California debate stuff. Last debate was last night. The mayor debate is breaking everybody's brains as Hollywood's now coming out for the left-wing crazy, not even Karen Bass. And the Dems reveal their radical agenda, and they actually said it out loud. Pack the court. We're going to get rid of the Electoral College. They're saying we want to add 2 states. And impeach Trump. That will make sure you don't get elected. And they're saying it. That's how cocky they are about the midterms, along with China's summit, too. I'm going to, Sunday night at 10 o'clock, I'm going to have Michael Schellenberger on, talk about the new rise of socialism, the ones that we are living with in New York, and how one guy got it right in San Francisco where he lives, but what this debate means for the rest of the country. I'm also got God Saad on. You see that he got an endorsement from his new book. It's called Radical Empathy. And they're just talking about how all these guys try to get the homeless, and why you get homeless houses, and we got to get drug addicts, give them needles, and we got to make sure that illegal immigrants have health care. It's destroying the country. He wrote a whole book on it. And then we also have an interview. Got Carly Shimkus joining us, too. So we got a big show coming your way. And I know we got a couple more guests we're going to look to book this morning, including Steve Mosher. This guy is one of the foremost China experts. He's got contacts inside that country. We'll find out how it's playing nationwide. So all Sunday at 10 o'clock.
Sounds great. And I'll be on, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Can't wait to be back on that amazing show. My man, have yourself a great radio show, and we'll be watching Sunday night. And you and I will do it all again on Monday morning. Enjoy your weekend, and we're going to find out, hopefully tonight, who the Knicks are playing in the next round. If Cleveland beats Detroit tonight, it'll be the Knicks and Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Brian Kilmeade, I love you, buddy. Great job.
All right, and don't forget, the only thing bigger than the Knicks series will be October 17th at the Westbury Music Fair. So, I mean, if you can't get tickets to the Knicks tonight, go to BrianKilmeade.com and get tickets for Uniting the States tour with a special appearance by Sid Rosenberg.
I'm actually really excited about that. I know I keep saying that every week, but I'm not lying to you. I'm not patronizing you. Very excited about that. Going to be in Westbury come October. Brian Kilmeade coming up at 10 o'clock right here on WABC. 10 p.m. Sunday nights on Fox News. We'll take a short break. Still to come, Cherie DeVaux. Of course, she trained Golden Tempo to win the Derby. That horse is not running in tomorrow's Preakness. We'll also talk to Joe Tacopino, Dr. Oz in studio. Big show coming your way. It's Friday. Sid and Friends in the morning.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Mets get set to host the Yankees in the first Subway Series of the year. The Mets playing much better baseball, coming off a sweep of the Detroit Tigers. Young stars like A.J. Ewing paying dividends already after just 3 games. He was one of 5 different Mets. Did a home run yesterday. I'm not coming back to the Mets. I'm still a Yankee guy. That's it. Randy Levine, I love him. But Steve Cohen has been great the last couple of days, and he's going to host me and his suite tonight, me, Bill, and Gabe. And, again, he's been really sweet. So Mets and Yankees, that is coming. It's a big sports weekend. Mets and Yankees all weekend long. And then, of course, tomorrow you get the second leg of the Triple Crown season. It's the Preakness Stakes. Now, we all know that Golden Tempo, my friend Vinny Viola's horse, won the Kentucky Derby, trained by a female sweet girl, Cherie DeVaux. She joined us 2 days after the Kentucky Derby on that Monday morning, and she's coming back this morning in a few minutes. She's going to tell us that Golden Tempo is not running in tomorrow's Preakness Stakes, so we will not have a Triple Crown winner this year. I think the last one to do it was Justify over a decade ago. Then before that, you had American Pharaoh. And before American Pharaoh, you had to go back almost 40 years to Steve Cawthon and Affirmed. In the 70s, we had 3 Triple Crown winners in 1 decade. Seattle Slew, Secretariat, and Affirmed. So we'll talk to Cherie DeVaux coming up. And, of course, you got the NBA. If the Cavaliers beat the Pistons in Cleveland tonight, then on Sunday, you'll get the Knicks and the Cavaliers in Eastern Conference Finals action. And the good news is, unlike Detroit, if the Cavaliers do win, and they can win the series tonight, the Knicks would have home court advantage. If the Pistons come back and win the last 2 games, one on the road tonight, Detroit, being the number 1 overall seed in the East, they would have home court. So the Knicks may get home court with a Cavalier victory coming up later on tonight. So huge sports weekend. Once again, congratulations to John and Margot Katsimatidis, Chad Lopez. This is in Inside Radio Today, which is a very big website and spot for radio people. We read it every day. And it reads like this. New York talker WABC leads America's top 10 AM stations. AM still very important. You heard the discussion I had with President Trump just 3 days ago for 40 minutes right here on this show. And I brought up AM radio. We are the number 1 AM radio station in the country. We beat 640 KFI in Los Angeles, and they've got a big morning show. And Bill Handel, he may be second to me when it comes to talk shows. I'm not talking about Scott Stanford and 1010 wins. I mean real talk shows. So we win, ABC number 1. Congratulations. Los Angeles, their morning show, they came in second. There's a station in San Juan, a Spanish-speaking station. They came in third. Some station in Houston, 740. They came in fourth. And finally,
950, an Odyssey station in Detroit. They came in 5th, but we did win WABC. Congratulations to John, Margot, Chad, and honestly, me. And let's move to the mayor's wife before I get to Cherie Duvall, because I have to make sure I mention this every hour. Because everybody knows, of course, there are a lot of folks in this city that are publicly very critical of the mayor. Vicky Palladino had to go to court over it, basically, and Jim Walden. There's a lot of folks. Even Julie Menon came out yesterday with this whole Ken Griffin situation, and she was tough on the mayor. Way to go, Julie. In fact, let's play this, Lewis. This is Julie Menon, cut number 2, saying, "Hey, Mamdani, stupid. Why would you attack Ken Griffin personally?" Cut number 2.
I don't think ad hominem personal attacks are productive. I just don't think that's the path forward. I think right now we have a situation where the city has lost 27,000 jobs compared to the 190,000 the city has gained each of the prior 4 years. This is a real crisis. I reached out to him to indicate that those jobs are important to New York City. And so that was really the message that I gave, and that's really what I think we need to focus on moving forward.
That's a great job out of Julie Menon. And the mayor is a complete disaster. Well, let's come on. Let's stop it. His budget was a joke. He got Kathy Hochul to bail him out. And you had New Yorkers, and I mentioned a couple of rabbis in the Satmar community. But there were plenty of other New Yorkers, all these pussies that cover the mayor, the Katie Honens of the world, congratulating the mayor on the budget. He literally took $8 billion from the governor. The governor is scared to death of the mayor. That's never happened, I don't think, before. Whether maybe Pataki and Giuliani, but the governor scared to death of the mayor. Gave him $8 billion. And you guys are celebrating. You don't realize that that's your money. That's taxpayer money. Whether it comes from Hochul, the state, or the city, that's your money, morons. He didn't bail you out. He bailed himself out. He's able to run around. Hey, look what I did. He did nothing. Nothing. He hurt us. So financially, he's killing this city. Looking to overtax people, still looking to raise property taxes, forcing people like Ken Griffin to leave. So let's start there. Forget about the Jewish stuff, okay? Let's start right there. Financially, he's killing us. And then the cops. You know, I got a phone call yesterday from my good buddy Dom Alberti. Happens to be the big security guy here at the station for John. He's a wonderful guy and a great cop. And he said, listen, Mike Keenan wants to talk to you. You know what's funny? I know like 4 Steve Cohens, 4 of them. You've got the GM of the Brooklyn Cyclones. His name is Steve Cohen. You've got the owner of the New York Mets. His name is Steve Cohen. You've got our former colleague at WFAN, Lewis, who went to Sirius XM. His name is Steve Cohen. I know one more from upstate New York, but I know 4 of them. I think I know 3 Mike Keenans. Mike Keenan from Brooklyn, Maura's brother. She worked for Albert for many, many years, my brother-in-law. Then you get Mike Keenan, the former New York Rangers head coach. And, of course, the great cop, Mike Keenan. Guy was shot, mind you. Survived, thank God, and turns out to be one of our great heroes. Anyway, without getting too descriptive, he reached out to Dom, looking to talk to me about hosting some major event at maybe the world's most famous arena in and around the time of 9/11. I got to call him back today. But I was crying, literally crying on the train when I got this phone call. Mamdani, he couldn't care less. Okay? So financially, he's destroying the city, hates the cops. Now we'll get to the Jews. His vile, wretched, when I call his wife ugly, I mean on the inside and outside. She happens to be physically repulsive. Yeah, I said it. Tough. But on the inside, she's even worse. And now, after we found out months ago that she liked all these graphic videos and photos of young girls being raped and children being murdered on October the 7th, right? And then she did some children's book with some illustrator who's a renowned, raging anti-Semite. Still not over. Now we find out yesterday that she goes to the gym, wherever she goes, is Rama, maybe a coffee shop in Brooklyn, bumps into my friend Miss Israel. And what's she listening to in her ears on Spotify? All this anti-Israel music. I mean, you've got lyrics, some of the songs that she really enjoys, including the all-time favorite, Hungry for Palestine. She's got some of the lyrics that she listens to in these songs. Read, I hate Israel, die Israeli bitch. This is Rama. This is the First Lady of New York City, right? This is, as the mayor puts it, the love of my life. She's just a private person. No, she's not stupid. She's the First Lady of New York City. She's very public. Like I said back in the 6 o'clock hour, you can make the argument, my wife, Danielle, is not a private person anymore because I'm the number one radio host in the country. So automatically, these women don't enjoy the I'm a private person, not their fault. But Rama is not a private person. She's the First Lady. She can't be listening to songs like that, liking graphic photos like that, taking every opportunity to travel to London to go to anti-Israel protests or France to go to anti-Israel protests. That's Rama. And you're going to tell me that her husband doesn't agree with every one of her ideologies? You can't be that stupid. You can't be that stupid. Of course he does. Why are you people okay with that? Why am I the bad guy? Why am I the bad guy? Why am I getting called an Islamophobist? Whatever the F that means, that's bullshit. Sorry. Doesn't even exist. I'm still waiting for Noam to give me a story about a Persian getting his ass kicked in the streets. He says he did 6 or 7 since the beginning of the year. I don't remember any of them. But every day, I've got 5 stories about anti-Semitism. Why am I the bad guy? Where is all the press in New York City asking this mayor about his wretched wife? Why is that asking so much? Die Israeli bitches? F Israel? That's okay? You chalking that up to creative entertainment? I don't get it. I'm sick of it.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So we're getting ready for the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes, about to come your way. And the question was, after Golden Tempo's amazing run in the Kentucky Derby, whether or not the horse would run again. And I had the really fortunate opportunity, thanks to my friendship with Vinnie Viola, to have on the lady, the only female trainer ever to train a horse to win the Kentucky Derby. Sherrod DeVoe, she was on with me Monday morning, 2 days after the epic win, and Sherry was terrific. She really was great. And then I was watching Fox News on Saturday morning this weekend, and there she was again on the weekend show with Campos and Griffin, and she has become a legitimate superstar. And again, why not? The only female trainer ever to win the Kentucky Derby. And I did end our first conversation with, will Tempo run in the Preakness? Now, at the time, sure, you did not give me an answer, but you made it sound like it didn't look good because you talked about how the horse likes to run longer distances, and it sounded to me like you were intimating that the horse was not going to run the Preakness. But we found out officially what your horse is going to do a couple of days ago. And for folks that aren't paying attention, will Golden Tempo race this weekend?
He will not. He will not be entered in the Preakness.
And does it come down to what you talked about with me just 2 days after and on Fox News this weekend, that the horse is just used to running longer distances right now, or is the horse tired? What is the main reason why he's not going to run this weekend?
It's a culmination of both. Ultimately, what we decided, in chatting with the team, the Phipps and Vinny's team, is we're looking for a campaign for the whole year, and trying to squeeze a race in 2 weeks just wouldn't be right for him to have the bigger goal in mind. We're pointing to the Belmont, then we're pointing to the Travers, and then after the Travers, we'll reevaluate to see, if we're going to go into the Breeders' Cup Classic. So it's one or the other usually, in my opinion. Asking a horse to run back in 2 weeks and then back in 3 weeks, it's a tough task. And I'm not saying I love history, and I'm not saying change the Triple Crown, but I'm saying it takes a super unique and special horse to be able to do it. And I'm not saying that Golden Tempo isn't isn't a high caliber great horse, but I'm just saying coming back in 2 weeks just isn't necessarily the best for him.
Yeah, you talked about what kind of horse it takes to win the Triple Crown, and God, in the 70s when I was a young kid, there was a nice slew of those. You had Slew, there you go, Seattle Slew, and you had Secretariat, and then I remember watching Affirm beat Aladar in all 3 races, and a young Stevie Cawthon winning the Triple Crown. But then we saw so many examples, so many over the years, really in the 90s and early 2000s, of horses like Charismatic and others that won the first 2 legs and came up short in the Belmont for a variety of reasons. Did racing get back to you at any point and say, hey, do me a favor, somebody big in the horse racing office, whatever that is, and say, hey, we'd love a shot at a Triple Crown this year? Or do they stay away and let people like you make those decisions?
I will commend everyone. There's been no pressure. There's been no pressure from any racing office. There's in the industry. There's not been any pressure from any, both. Everyone on the team has been really good about putting Golden Tempo first. And the racing office, nobody called. We called them and let them know that we were going to bypass the Preakness. It's everyone's excited about it, and there are fans that don't live, breathe what we do, and they're disappointed, which I can understand that as well. But I have to be the advocate for us as a team. Have to be the advocate for what's best for Golden Tempo. And just to run in the Preakness, just to do it for the history of it, isn't what's right for the horse.
This is the great female trainer, Cherie DeVoe, made history a couple of weeks ago when her horse, Golden Tempo, won the Kentucky Derby. By the way, the last horse to win the Triple Crown was Bob Baffert's Justify, and that was about 8 years ago already. And before that, American Pharaoh did it in 2015 and broke a 37-year drought. So as we talked about it is very rare. I mean, I guess you just talked about what kind of athlete. A lot of people get upset. There was a list that came out years ago, Cherie, and they were talking about athletes, and they had Secretariat on the same list as Michael Jordan. And they go, you can't compare a horse to a human being. But I think what the list was talking about was whether it's a horse or a human being, what that animal or person is able to achieve. So you have to admit that for a horse to win all 3 legs of those races in less than 7 weeks takes an unbelievable horse, yes?
100%. And there are horses that run that back that quickly and regularly, but we're talking about a top-level horse. We're not talking about a horse that just, and this is no slight, but, you get a claiming horse. They run more often, but these horses, they're putting everything that they have out there, and we're trying to save some for we're planning for the whole year, not just being nearsighted about the Triple Crown.
Big year, like you said, Beaumont coming up, and then Travers and Breeders. So let me talk about you for a second here, because most folks didn't know who you were about 3 weeks ago. And now, like I said, you're on Fox News twice. You're on this show twice. It's not get bigger than that, Cherie. Trust me. You're a big star, and people don't realize this, but right now, as you're doing this, you're literally outside by your track getting ready to take care of your horses early in the morning. So I guess you've kind of gone back to what you were doing before you won the Kentucky Derby. But how much of a thrill has this been the last couple of weeks? Or are you tired of it and ready to get back to life as usual?
Well, we're navigating. It's exciting that everyone is excited and celebrating, and that's fun. But we won the Kentucky Derby, and it's not like a championship where we can go to Disney World. We have horses that are we have a full stable of horses, so it's not just Golden Tempo. We have a full stable, and I have only missed on Monday when I went to New York. That's the only day I missed going to the barn. So we're just trying to fit it all in, and I think it's great that there's positive talk about the industry, because and I'm not saying this is unfounded, but our industry of horse racing has been under fire, and There have been a lot of positive things happening, new rules, just different aspects. So I think it's great that I can be a steward just for the sport. So it's kind of like taking the good with and I won't even say bad, taking the good with the exhaustion.
No, I hear you. Believe me, it all makes sense to me. Well, you've been terrific again on this show twice. I can't thank you enough. You've been great on TV. Everybody loves you, and I would imagine we will talk again before the final leg, which is back in the place where you were born, I guess, and spent your very early days in Saratoga. That's where the Belmont will be held in just a couple of weeks. So congratulations again on the Kentucky Derby win. Thank you so much for being so gracious, Cherie, and enjoy the horses this morning. You and I will talk again very soon. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me on.
You're great. Thank you so much. You're terrific. You really are. There she is, the first female trainer ever to win the Kentucky Derby, Cherie DeVoe, who told us this morning that Golden Tempo will not run in the Preakness, but 99.99% sure we'll see that horse again up in Saratoga for the Belmont. Short break. More of Sid and Friends in the morning right after these words.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Dr. Oz, who's doing an incredible job working alongside Bobby Kennedy, President Trump, the fraud issue that continues to plague America. I have a friend who works for J.D. Vance, and she helped set up this big rally in Bangor, Maine 2 nights ago. And he talked to the fine folks of Maine about fraud. And Anthony D'Esposito was on the show all the time. Labor Department, he's uncovered fraud. And Lee Zeldin, EPA, he's uncovered a lot of fraud. So it's become a very, very big issue here in the country. So, Dr. Oz, first of all, you look very handsome as always. Good to see you. But let's start right there because if I'm correct, I just mentioned J.D. in Bangor, Maine. You're about to do a press conference with J.D. Vance coming up on Wednesday, right?
Well, we just had a big announcement with the vice president. He leads the White House anti-fraud task force. So we're doing constant events, trying to make it clear to the American people, but more importantly to the fraudsters that we're after them. So we don't want them walking away. We want them running away from us. And that's because we have all arms of government working together, which historically has not happened with fraud. In the prior administration, quite transparently, there wasn't a lot of interest in fraud. They just didn't think that was a big deal. They weren't focused on it. But when you don't focus on something bad like fraud, the gangsters, and there are gangsters literally involved in this, organized criminal syndicates, they take advantage of the system. So we announced this week that we're going to defer payment of $1.3 billion to California, and that we are continuing to worry about hospice and home health care. So we're going to put a nationwide moratorium on all new programs. If you're already on these programs, you're fine. But no new programs until we figure out how it got so bad and what the problems are. And let's just give one concrete example. Here in New York State, where we're sitting right now, the number one job in the whole state said, number one job, personal care service. That means that we're paying kids to carry the groceries upstairs for their parents. We're paying the neighbor's kid to drive you to the doctor's office. Now, there's some times when that's a good investment because it keeps you out of a nursing home. But when you have very weak guardrails, bad people take advantage of the system. And that's why we had to ding California and defer that money, the $1.3 billion. And that's why we have to audit a lot of states. And it's not just a blue state problem. Red states have issues as well. We've written letters we actually wrote a letter to Maine, where the vice president was, because they have a lot of fraud up there.
Ohio, too.
Ohio has fraud. Florida, there's twice as many durable medical equipment suppliers in South Florida than McDonald's.
Yeah, there's got to be, because there are so many retirees and old people being taken care of down in Florida. It's going to have to happen, I understand. I think I saw something this week, Dr. Oz, in Los Angeles, where they had these big, big buildings that they claimed were being used for hospice, and there was nobody in them. Nobody.
So hospice, beautiful program created 40 years ago to take care of folks who have cancer that's terminal. They're going to pass. They want dignity. So you give up your Medicare, you get hospice. Great. 1/3 of all hospices in the entire nation in Los Angeles, not California, just in L.A. Now, if sitting here in New York, I think, well, how's it possible they have 1/3 of all the hospices in the whole country? That's not true in New York, so something's wrong. And in fact, the governor of California, Newsom, was warned by their auditors years ago that they had a growing fraud problem with hospice, did nothing about it. Russian organized criminal elements are involved in this. Many of these cluster in buildings that are empty. Nothing happens. No patients are seen. Or if they are seen, they're not taken care of. Doctors sell their souls, their licenses, to lie that people are terminal, to pretend that they're eligible for these benefits. And they steal billions of dollars from the federal taxpayer. Remember, what we're really saying is if California tolerates fraud that comes from the federal government, that means people in New Mexico, Mississippi, and New York are paying extra tax dollars to make up for the fact that California doesn't care.
Can you explain to my audience, because a lot of my audience are just regular guys. They used to like to listen to sports talk radio. They came to, because that's where I was, and they came to listen to me now because I'm a regular guy. Why? It's true. Why are these politicians doing that? You know, why does Gavin Newsom allow that in Los Angeles, in California? Why do we just see Tim Walz in Minnesota? Why are these? Are they on the take? Are they nervous? Have to deal with some pretty bad guys? Why are politicians allowing this in all of our states across our country?
Well, there are a couple of factors. There's no question that in Minnesota, there could have been political considerations. You're going to lose a big vote from the city. A lot of Somalians, very politically active, would have been upset with him if he'd taken out their main source of income in some of the communities, right. Fraud, leering centers. In California, I don't know what happened, but at the end of last year, as an example, there was an opportunity for them to shut down hospice fraud, and the governor at the last second, it had gone through the whole process, the health department wrote the rule, governor pulled it down. Don't know why. But let me give you a hypothesis. I don't think fraud is a flaw for some governors. I think it's a feature. And let's just pick on New York. The number one job in the whole state is personal care services, right?
Yes.
Which means instead of letting these people go unemployed and having to pay unemployment insurance coverage for them, you can just get them on the federal dole, have the federal government pay for their salary for carrying groceries, and that you can tax that income. But also now we're learning that the unions are actually getting engaged and they're unionizing these personal care services folks, which means you have now a very politically active organization funneling money through union dues to one party. So it's political patronage. And I think at its very core, that's why some governors aren't serious about this. Other governors just haven't focused on it. They're running sloppy administrations. Some are not as good as others in dealing with these issues. But listen, when we write letters, and I did, to 50 states last week saying, within 10 days, tell me, are you willing to check to make sure all the providers are valid, that they're legitimately allowed to provide these services? Every state wrote back and said they would do it. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is, and I think people realize, this is not a Democratic or Republican issue. Both parties want to fix this problem because it's embarrassing if you're a Democrat that you want to have all this largesse, give all this money in the social programs, and it's getting stolen. Republicans are angry about this process because they expected it to happen. So now it turns out that their fears were validated. We got to deal with it.
And major issue here in New York, which I know you're heading, is Medicare, Medicaid, a lot of fraud coming from those programs.
What we think is $100 billion of fraud in the health insurance industry, in Medicare and Medicaid. Let me put it in context for you, Sid. If you're working your tail off right now and you're expecting that Medicare will be there for you when you retire because you've spent your whole life paying into it, that 2.9% on your pay stub, that's what it's for Medicare. So we will double the life expectancy of Medicare's trust fund if we take the fraud out of the system. Double it. Wow. It'll be there for you. Wow. You'll be able to retire and have the social safety net intact for you.
I'm also reading about something you're doing which is really important, and New Yorkers know this story very well, Dr. Oz. You're announcing a new healthcare coalition on prior authorization. So we got a guy in a jail here in New York who's a hero. He's a hero. He's beloved. His name is Luigi Mangione. And what did he do? He committed murder in the most cowardly fashion. He shot a man in the back, a man who was a father of two, a man who worked in the healthcare industry, who, by all accounts, was a very, very nice man. But Luigi was having issues paying his medical bills. He hated healthcare, and he decided that he was going to murder somebody to make sure that justice was done. And again, I'm not kidding you. He's a hero to a lot of New Yorkers. Tell me about prior authorization, what that means moving forward, because the Brian Thompson story relates just to this.
Just to finish the story of the psychotic man, Luigi Mangione, the hoodie he was wearing sold out.
Is that right?
Yeah, people like the idea that you could murder someone because they don't like the system. And the man he murdered, he didn't even have insurance with him. It's a different company. So let's leave that tale behind because it's sort of an unfortunate tale, but it does highlight the anger that many Americans feel about the fact they're having this discussion with their doctor in the office. sacred spot. Doctor says you need this test to figure out if you have cancer. And the insurance company reaches their hand in and says, hold on, Tiger, even though you paid your premiums, we're not sure you're eligible for this test. We'll get back to you in a couple weeks. Well, you're sitting around trying to understand if I have cancer or not that whole time. You're in pain, you don't like it, and you actually paid your bills. So we have asked every insurance company, this is all about the president. President said, you know what? Yeah, you can make laws. Yes, you can make rules, but use the power to convene. Just use the force of personality. Go in there and negotiate. So we went to all the insurance companies and said, the president doesn't like this prior auth stuff. Can you fix it yourselves without us having to get involved? If you do, we'll give you safe harbor. We'll protect you so you can actually get the job done. All the insurance companies came to the table. We've covered down the vast majority of Americans with insurance companies wanting to dramatically change prior authorization, which, by the way, does reduce costs, but it's done wrongly at times. And they've got their part done. This coalition that we announced is getting all the hospitals to join in as well. Because listen, the insurance companies can't do it by themselves. They actually have to have the doctors in the hospitals working with them. Because if I ask you, hey, listen, justify this procedure, and you fax me back the response, you're wasting time.
Right.
We got to do it all digitally. Everyone's got to get on their game seamlessly. That's why the commitment we're having to the American people by next year is you'll have 80% of these prior auths done instantaneously. Like when you go to a bank, you put your card in there, right? You don't wait around. The money comes out. When you go to a coffee.
I mean, I got to pay a couple of dollars, take out my own money. That's a whole other story. But go ahead.
It's a whole different story, right? But you also, if you go to a coffee shop, right? The barista doesn't, get back to you in 6 weeks if you have the money to buy your coffee. Right. They make the deal right then, or you wouldn't use the transaction.
True. That's a very, very good point. I got to tell you, as I'm watching you speak, and, I think you're great, and I love President Trump. I love both you guys. You're telling me that it took Trump and Oz and all you people to figure out that there's money being stolen maybe all over the country and like programs like this, prior authorization. You're telling me that all these Democrat presidents, Biden, Obama, they had no idea? They couldn't figure out that this is a major issue? We need you guys to figure that out?
Where your focus goes, your energy flows. The president wants to cut deals. I'll give you an even better example. Most favored nation drug pricing. 1 in 3 Americans goes to the drugstore to pick up a medication the doctor prescribed for them and leaves empty-handed because they can't afford the medication. So the president said, I know why this is happening, because our drug prices are 3 times higher than any other country on the planet, than the average of the other countries. So we're not going to tolerate that. No mas. And so he got us to go to the drug companies, all the pharmaceutical companies, and say, listen, from now on, we're not going to pay you 3 times more. Global freeloading, it's done. You're going to have to charge the same in America as everywhere else, which means you've got to either charge more there or less here or both.
Right.
And they actually started doing both. And we will save the American people $600 billion to be, and we did not hurt the pharma companies. The pharma companies they have enough money to innovate, but the grotesque imbalance in payments is now gone. We're not going to pay for everybody else to get medications.
Fair. Last couple of minutes, I saw you on TV Tuesday. I spoke to the president Tuesday. You look great. There was about 10 women standing behind Trump, and there you were, Dr. Oz. But it's actually a very important day. He's talking about, obviously, health care for women. I got to tell you this. President Trump had the most sensible abortion policy when he ran last time against the Democrats, whether it's Biden or Harris. He had the most sensible one. Here he is with all these women, right? Health care, IVF, all the fertility needs. This guy's been tremendous for women. And you were there on Tuesday. Tell me about how that went and what the future looks like.
President recognizes we have to make it easier for people to want to have kids to have kids. 1 in 3 couples in America underbabied.
Is that right?
That means that they have no children, or they have 1 and they want to have 2 or more.
Well, is that because they don't have the money to have it, or they can't physically do it?
It's a combination, but they actually are related, those 2 issues. And here's why. If you can't have a baby and you want to have one, it's really expensive. The medications are a big part of that. So as part of these most favored nation drug pricing, we actually got the major drug that you use for fertility to 1/10 of what it used to be. Because guess what? In Europe, it's 1/10 of what it costs here. So 10% of the cost. So instead of paying $4,000 for the medication, you pay $400 for the medication. You can use the medication to get your follicles ready. You have the baby with in vitro fertilization. So the president recognizes that there's many reasons that might get in your way. By the way, we've authorized these insurance offerings so that you can actually buy insurance to have a baby if you're at work. Most companies don't cover it. Now we have a skinny bundle, a small little extra add-on like a dental policy or a vision policy that a company, if they want to provide that service to their workers, because guess what? Me and you don't need fertility services. No. Right? So don't waste your company money buying me insurance for fertility. Right. But if my daughter wants to have a baby, she might need that, and that'd be a much different equation.
God, you're a hero. I'm so happy that you're part of this administration. I've known you for 15 years. We talked about this last time, to visiting malls in Palm Beach, when you're friends with Oprah and all those things, and you're in a very, very important spot, and you're doing a tremendous job, and Americans and me are very, very proud of you. Thank you so much.
Best job I've ever had. I treasure it every single day.
Is that right? This is the best job you've ever had?
I practiced medicine, obviously, here in New York. I was a heart surgeon. Actually, I was with Roger Altman, who was a patient of mine that he was talking about it this morning on Squawk Box before I came over here.
Yeah.
But I love practicing medicine, love the job, love being a heart surgeon. I loved hosting the show, which I did right around the corner from here.
It's a great show.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed making it every day. But this is the best job I've ever had, because when you see a problem in government, if you have good leadership around you, like a president, vice president who really want to make a difference, and they're brave, then you just move forward. And when I go to the president and say, there's a lot of people don't like if we do this, it's going to upset people. You know what he says? I don't care.
I don't care.
I got 2 years and 8 months left. I want you to do whatever it takes. He counts the days down. And he calls me up, as you know, at odd hours. If you get an early morning phone call, it's the president. Say, I was thinking. I said, sir, it's 6 a.m. Yeah, I know. I was up. I was thinking.
Oh, that's actually late. Usually it's like 3 a.m. when he...
I was doing we were having actually a dinner with Howard Lutnick and Marco Rubio and a bunch of folks. And president calls. It's like midnight. And we're all sort of tired. He's just going. So he has a bunch of things he wants us to do. So we go home. Next morning, I'm doing a TV show. I think it's like 7. It's like right at 7. I do the show. He calls. He goes, I would have done it a little differently. So how are you still up? Like what happened? When do you sleep?
He doesn't sleep. He doesn't. And then he gives you the criticism. I love that. He's great, and so are you. I know you got a meeting at 8:30, so thank you for coming in this morning. We love having you here. Please keep coming back and keep up the great work. You're a great American. We love you, Dr. Oz. Thank you.
God bless you, Sid.
You too. Dr. Oz right there. That was awesome. Man, that was awesome. Great way to start the weekend with my friend Dr. Oz. We'll take a short break.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We came back from break a couple of days ago, and Lou played Space Between by Dave Matthews, and my phone started to blow up because, and I knew this before, but I keep forgetting. I can't keep up anymore. I don't have a scorecard of who hates Trump and who hates Israel. I should just assume it's everybody. I know that I should. But I forgot about Dave Matthews, and my phone starts to blow up. That bastard, he's one of the worst pro-Palestinian. And then, of course, I was reminded they were right. So I took a beating, Lou, because you played a song a couple days ago. And
sorry about that.
I don't think you are.
Well, I am. Sorry. But if anybody out there has ever listened to a Dave Matthews song, ever heard 10 seconds of it, jump in the water, jump in the river, and kill yourself. Okay? How about that? I mean, what
the hell's wrong with you?
What are we doing?
No, but he wears a keffiyeh, I think, and stuff, Lou. He's like really out of control.
Look who we voted for mayor.
Not we. You didn't do that.
No,
I didn't do that.
I didn't do it.
I love when people tweet me all the time. They go, well, you guys voted for him. Not you guys, you dumb bastards. I didn't vote for him. Yeah, there was a guy that ran that destroyed this state. Let's be honest. He's on this station. And I was ready to vote for him before this radical Islam disaster. I didn't vote for him.
Neither did I.
No, of course not.
Yes.
KT McFarland has worked for 4 presidents, most recently President Trump. She's on Fox News a lot. I like watching her on TV. And she's here every Friday, and she's terrific. KT, welcome back. How are you?
Oh, I'm just great. What a great week for the president. For the country.
Yeah, no, listen, it's funny you say that. I got a text from my mother. She's 91, okay? And she texted me like late one night this week. I was already asleep. She's hooked on Fox News, KT, that she watches it all day. She loves all of them. And she was watching when President Trump first got to China, how they treated him. And my mother, 91, was basically in tears. She said, what a beautiful way to treat our president. And I told this story to Kilmeade. He said my mother was the same way. So I think a lot of patriotic Americans who love this country and love President Trump got really emotional a couple of days ago.
Yeah, and remember, it's not just the Chinese treat all American presidents this way, or they love America so much. Remember when President Obama went to China, they gave him the ultimate insult. When Air Force One landed at the Beijing Diplomatic Airport, it just sat there. And there was no big gangway, no staircase that pulls right up to it. And then it sat there. And then the Chinese said, well, the staircase is broken. No people who are going to meet him, no big bands, no big students waving American flags. It was just the Air Force One is sitting there. So after a while, then they decided, well, President Obama could leave in the baggage side of the plane, at the back of the plane where the baggage comes out. And they could find a little tiny staircase that they would wheel up to that. That was like the ultimate insult because, are you telling me that they couldn't find a staircase that would work? No, they just wanted to humiliate Obama. And what did Obama do? I mean, if it had been President Trump, he would have just said, turn Air Force One around, let's get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, President Trump got the kind of welcome that they knew they had to respect him. Now, they respected him in such a way, not because they think he's giving them any goodies or any freebies, but because he's one heck of a tough negotiator.
He is, but it still does beg the question. I agree with you. He was received beautifully. I loved watching the state banquet, and President Xi said all the right things, and there's no question that there's a nice little relationship, but you can't trust them. Let's stop, okay? You can't trust the Chinese. No, you can't trust the Russians. You can't trust the Koreans. The question is, once you get past all the pomp and circumstance and the way they treated Trump, deservedly so, what do we leave with? I mean, I know this. Taiwan is still a major issue. I know that. On the bright side, it looks like business is a big deal here. NVIDIA, for example, already making chips for 10 different Chinese companies. So on the business side, it looked like it went very, very well. Iran, I don't know. I know the president said, hey, and stop giving these guys weapons and the Strait. And President Xi said, well, we want to help you, but there's no guarantee he's going to. So the big question really is, KT, outside the pomp and circumstance, did anything really get accomplished the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think with regard to Iran, a lot got accomplished. The statement that was issued is China and the United States both agree that Iran should not have nuclear weapons. That's huge because, frankly, China was helping Iran's nuclear program prior to this. Then the second part.
You say prior to this. Well, you say prior to this, so you're convinced, and you're a very smart lady, KT. You're convinced they will not do it anymore. That's it.
Well, I think they're on record as not doing it. But the enforcement there as well is because they've said China should not have a nuclear weapon. The Strait of Hormuz should be open, and Iran should not be allowed to charge tariffs. Okay, so what does that take that away? That doesn't mean that Xi Jinping is going to send the battleships to help us open the Strait of Hormuz. But what it says is, America, if you're going to enforce it, we're not standing in the way because, after all, we agree with this joint statement that we both agree that the Strait should be open and that Iran should not have nuclear weapons and that Iran should not charge a toll. I mean, China didn't say we're going to help you do that, but basically by saying we're not going to stand in your way and we're going to go along subtly complicit in what you're doing, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Big deal.
I mean, it's not one that I didn't expect. I expected China needs that Strait of Hormuz open more than we do. I mean, we do, President Trump does, because he's facing the midterms in 5-6 months. He's got popular opinion things. But China needs it because it needs the oil this week. And China is so dependent on Middle East oil. And remember, it's not just Iran's oil that's not getting out. It's Iraq, Saudi Arabia, UAE. That represents almost half of China's imported oil needs. And then the total energy mix for China. Oil's part of it, coal's part of it, windmills are part of it, solar panels are part of it. But what's not coming from the Middle East is about 15% of China's overall and total energy needs. Now, China has a big reserve. They've got a big rainy day fund of oil, strategic reserve, but they're blowing through that. And so China needs to have the Strait of Hormuz open because it affects their manufacturing, their agribusiness, and it certainly affects their technology business, which is so energy dependent. You know, high technology, artificial computing, quantum computing, artificial intelligence takes a huge amount of energy, and China doesn't have it. It has to import it. So I think that all in all, this is an extremely good trip. And when President Trump made a point, and he had what's called a gaggle, and that's when you're on Air Force One, and the press is all sitting, you know, in the coach class.
And you can see like Jameson Greer and Monica Crowley behind him. It's great.
Yes, exactly. Sean Hannity. So a gaggle is when the president, who's up there in first class, when he walks back to the cheap seats in the back, and he leans against the door. Or the entrance to the coach class, and then the press called jump up and down. They jump over their seats. They stick microphones in his face. They stick recorders in his face. And that's when he answers things very candidly. And so they asked him about it was a considerably long press gaggle. It's the equivalent of a no holds barred press conference. And he said, Taiwan came up. We talked about it, but I made no promises. Now, that's interesting because people thought, well, if President Trump gets cooperation on Iran, is he going to have to give up something on Taiwan? And it sounds like he did that.
No, he's not going to do that. In fact, he even said, let me take it a step further. Great job, KT. He's still considering sending arms to Taiwan.
Selling weapons to Taiwan.
Yeah, so he's not giving up on the Taiwanese, not even a little. I did get a text. I'm going to name drop here like Pat O'Brien. He used to love Dylan Anonymous. I did get a text from Sean Hannity at 4:10 a.m. this morning in the car with Lou on the way to work. He said, Sid, I'm on the plane. I'm coming home. I said, good, okay. So, Sean, he was there. The whole Fox News crew was there, basically. They had a bunch of those guys there, Bill Hemmer and some of the night people as well. They did a terrific job. They really did. Okay, so we talked about it. You just talked about it. Now he comes home. Putin is going to China next, just so you folks know. But now that he's coming home, and I agree, the China trip was successful. Now he's got to finish Iran. One way or the other, KT McFarland, I've been telling you this for months. Brian Kilmeade comes on, he says, I know how you feel, Sid. I'm going to say it again. One way or the other, either blow the doors off him or figure out the way to do it more diplomatically. But this needs to get done, and it needs to get done not in 4 months. Fast. Now, right.
No, now. Yeah. And so I think one of the things in knowing, I mean, I've not talked to President Trump about this, but knowing how he thinks, and he was waiting until the China trip was finished. He didn't want anything to, potentially screw up the China trip because we need the China trip for trade. They need it more than we do, but we need it. We want it. And he also wanted to get this sort of placid, kind of implicit agreement that we could do what we needed to do with Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. But he's also, I've got to wonder if the next phone call Xi Jinping makes is to the mullahs and says, okay, guys, open the strait. We don't care about your nuclear weapons. We care about our oil, and we're not getting our oil. And we are your biggest trading partners, and you better cooperate here. And so maybe there's a little bit of pressure. President Trump said he didn't ask for any help from Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping offered. How can we be helpful? Maybe something comes of that, maybe nothing. But Trump now has a clear field to resume military action tomorrow, literally right away. And I think the first thing they do is they clear the strait. We already control the strait, but just to make it obvious to everybody that we've cleared the strait, no more what are called dolphins. They're this tiny little submarine. They stick their noses out, and then they have guns on them, or they have underwater missiles on them. No more speedboats with guns attached. We just either blow it out of the water, or it just doesn't even show up. So I think President Trump has a clear message from the Chinese. Not that we needed it, but a message. Okay, go do what you got to do. So I think that the first thing is open the strait. See what happens. Then the next thing is, okay, military action. There's still about 25% of the military targets that remain. Go after those. See what happens.
In closing this, KT, you've been around this game for a little bit, and you've seen a lot of politicians come and go. Again, you've worked alongside 4 presidents, and we both share this probably obsession with Trump. It's probably not healthy, but we've got it. But this mayor, and I talk about him every day because I have to. And as bad as he is, and he's probably the most dangerous politician in my 59 years on this earth. That says a lot. He's the most dangerous politician I've ever seen. And then every story, KT, every story that comes out about his vile, wretched wife. And I don't do this type of stuff. This is not Inside Edition, okay? This is not Entertainment Tonight. I don't get involved in moms and dads and husbands and wives. But when you're the mayor of New York City and your wife is liking pictures about October 7th, and now we find out yesterday she's got these music playlists on Spotify. She actually works out to music where the lyrics are, die Israeli bitches and F you Israel. I mean, come on. Really, KT? This guy's going to make an argument?
That's deliberate.
Of course.
It's deliberate.
Of course.
It's deliberate. That's like he's trying to speak out of both sides of his mouth. He says, no, I'm not an anti-Semite. Oh, but by the way, here's my wife's playlist. I mean, that's the sort of wink and a nod to the people who are anti-Semitic, who are anti-Israel, who are demonstrating not in front of the Israeli embassy, but in front of synagogues. That's anti-Semitism. That's not anti-Israel. That's anti-Semitism. It's a wink and a nod that, okay, you guys, I'm behind you. Can't quite say it, but look at what my wife's doing, and we talk about it all the time. Look, I think, Sid, here's what you ought to do. Watch what happens in Los Angeles. And if Spencer Pratt wins the mayor's race in Los Angeles, I want to see Sid Rosenberg hire the same social media guys and the same social media team that Spencer Pratt is using, and then go work for Sid Rosenberg, and then you run for mayor.
Oh, God, I love you. I know what you're saying. He's a reality TV star, right? No political experience, none of that. I'm a radio guy, no real although I speak to brilliant people like you, and the president was here for 45 minutes on Tuesday, literally right before he went to China. It's, very surreal and humbling for me to hear somebody like you say that, and it happens a lot these days, and I'm starting to consider it. Either way, KT McFarland, I love you. Thank you. That was a great appearance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. That's KT McFarland. I do love this lady. She's terrific, isn't she? Fox News, she's great. Here, she's great. KT McFarland on Sid and Brent's in the morning. Thank you for that. We'll take a break. We're still going to talk to Dick Girardi. Yes, the Preakness tomorrow. No Golden Tempo. Vinny Viola's horse not running this one. Looks like Cherie DeVos is going to race Golden Tempo at the Belmont in Saratoga in a couple of weeks, so there'll be no Triple Crown winner this year. We'll find out, though, who Dick Girardi likes in tomorrow's Preakness. And, of course, the best defense attorney in the world, my dear friend of 48 years, Joseph Tacopina.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
My brother of 48 years, the amazing defense attorney Joseph Tacopina, represented President Trump in that E. Jean Carroll case, and all the prosecution wanted was rape. That's it. That's all they wanted. And Joe did such a great job. They didn't get it. Now, look, when you sit down in front of a jury in the box there, they have like a list. Literally, there's a list. And if you don't get the first charge, which is what they always want, there's a number 2, or number 3, and number 4. So they picked a different charge. Okay. He wasn't going to walk out unscathed, not in a New York court with that jury and judge, Kaplan. He knew that. But the rape charge, that's gone. You can't call Trump a rapist. When you do that, like George Stephanopoulos, you got to pay Trump $15 million. Thank you, Nancy Mace. And that was because of Tacopina's hard work. So now this E. Jean Carroll sued him civilly, I guess, and $83 million. And the judge said, nah, you're not getting paid that because you're a liar. So I had to play that, Joe, because A, the guy was really funny, but B, I just want to give you the credit because you can never call President Trump a rapist because of you.
That's right. And they tried. I mean, E. Jean Carroll said in her testimony 52 times the word rape. In their closing argument, E. Jean Carroll's attorneys used the rape word 33 times. Okay? So rape was the whole theme of this trial. And you had a New York jury who, at the time, President Trump was not popular in New York and probably still isn't, right? So it was a really difficult, battle. And then you had a judge who was a Clinton appointee who clearly hated President Trump. He made it clear. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So it was one of the most stacked courtroom proceedings I've ever been involved in. And we still beat the rape because, honestly, if you look at the cross-examination that I did of E. Jean Carroll, we annihilated her credibility. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So, yeah, the jury gave her some lesser included, some sexual abuses.
It's on the list. They had to pick something.
Right. And defamation. And don't forget, by the way, the $83 million was not for rape. There was no rape, right? It was for defamation. That was the second trial. I didn't try that. Alina Habba did. That was an $83 million award for defamation, for political rhetoric that was always going to face intense constitutional scrutiny. I never knew that. I never thought $83 million was going to stand up. Listen, here's how bad that was. They asked for $24 million to the jury. Okay? The jury came back and said, nah, we're not going to give you $24 million. We'll give you $83 million. I've never heard of that in my life.
It's crazy.
Where a jury came back and basically, gave 3 plus X of what the plaintiff was asking for in damages.
Well, that's New York. So, that reminds me of like Letitia James in that case. I know you didn't do that one. You did the Alvin Bragg case, but same type of thing. Like in New York, they keep raising the money to ridiculous numbers.
Yeah, look, that's what appellate courts are for, though, Sid, right? To stop this politically and emotionally charged verdicts from steamrolling fundamental fairness and constitutional protections. Look, you can't have a justice system where emotion replaces evidence and punishment replaces proportionality. The First Amendment doesn't disappear because the defendant's name is Donald Trump. And understand what he was clipped for $83 million for denying an allegation of rape. Okay? That was the defamation. So it was insane to me that this verdict was given. And again, this was not my trial, but it was sickening and it was hard to watch. But look, to me, the verdict looked more like social, really, from the jury's standpoint, like a societal punishment than measured legal compensation, really. And that's what American appeals courts are for. When trials risk becoming emotional spectacles instead of disciplined legal proceedings, appellate courts are supposed to step in and say, nah, not so fast. That's not going to happen here.
It's funny. I was thinking about you this morning. I remember, for some reason, I was at the doctor, maybe with Ava and Danielle, in New Jersey. And I was standing in the parking lot, and they wanted to leave. And I was talking to you. And it was when Trump was campaigning, right? And we were talking about, oh, my God, the Bragg trial is out there. The James trial is out there. Here's this clown Smith who's, suing him in just about every blue state across the country. E. Jean Carroll is out there. And we're trying to figure out not only how he's going to win, but how he's going to stay out of jail. I mean, that was a concern for some attorneys at one point. I never thought that would be the case, but it was a concern. You look back at those conversations, Joseph, and what these animals really tried to do and where he is today. Pretty remarkable, yes?
No, it's beyond. He's extraterrestrial. Like, seriously. Like, he has 9 lives. Look, he got indicted 4 times. Not charged, not sued, indicted, Sid, 4 times in 1 year. As I said to you in the past, give me the 4 most notorious criminals in history. John Dillinger, Pablo Escobar,
Gotti. John Gotti.
Any of them. None of them were indicted 4 times in total.
I don't think even Pablo Escobar, I don't think any of them were even indicted more than once.
Well,
maybe John Gotti, that's it.
But 4 times in 1 year. I mean, again, that's why we really have to be careful. And I've always said this when I was representing the president. I was on, your show in the morning, Hannity at night, Mark Levin, all these different shows. Right? The legal principles here affect every American. Forget whether you're blue or you're red. If constitutional safeguards erode for one unpopular defendant, if he's not your candidate of choice, they erode for everyone. And that's what was so scary to me, to watch all that stuff go down. I mean, indictments that were based on, the Bragg case, that indictment, that Stormy Daniels nonsense was seriously the most convoluted criminal case I've ever seen that was based on no criminal conduct. And somehow still a jury came back and convicted him of 34 counts. It was unbelievable to me. I mean, he did not. There was nothing that was done wrong there. I promise you. It was a personal civil settlement with personal money, not campaign funds. Not if he paid with that money with campaign funds, they would be baying for his scalp. That would be a campaign finance crime. But he did nothing wrong, and yet still they were bringing charges left and right against him. And look where he is. It's something else. But look, again, this is. The appeals court's action here today or yesterday with President Trump reinforces that basic principle that these massive verdicts in these politically charged cases must still comply with the constitutional protections. proportionality and fairness, right? And that's not politics. That's the rule of law. So he's going to be fine. I knew he was going to be fine. I didn't ever think he was paying that $83 million. And if someone else wants to call him a rapist again, they could pay $15 million also. But it's fine.
Yeah, they will do it. They don't care. They're psychos. It's happened 2 or 3 times, not just Stephanopoulos, where they just don't care. Then they'll call him it 10 times during one segment.
Stupid. They're just.
I know.
Stupid.
I know.
I mean, look, they wanted more than anything in the world to be able to say President Trump is a rapist. They wanted that red ink end of the world headline on every page, right? Because they can't do it. They can't do it,
baby.
It's gone.
You better text him this morning. I know actually, he's on the plane right now coming back from China with Hannity and Crowley and all those people. So I said to myself and to you, we had this conversation too, it'd only be right if Joe Tacopina, the greatest defense attorney in the world, represented Trump. Now he's got to do Bibi, right? Because despite all the hate that goes around, because we are surrounded by vicious anti-Semites, and the best is when they try to tell you they're not. I love that. Vicious anti-Semites surrounded by him. So here's Tacopina running to the rescue. Hey, I got 2 trials for Trump. I won them both. And here comes Bibi. This one is really special. So the New York Times, this guy Christoph, who's actually won 2 Pulitzer Prize awards, okay? This is not some rookie. This is not some kid just starting out. This is a world-renowned, award-winning writer for the New York Times, which at this point is like Dr. Seuss. It's all fiction. And he writes this story. You can't make this up. This is when you know how sick people are. That the Israelis are training dogs. Listen carefully, folks, okay? Some of you anti-Semites out there. The Israelis are training dogs to rape Palestinians. Yeah. That's the story. And this idiot Christoph, so Bibi says, I'm so happy about this, we're going to sue the pants off the New York Times, me, Israel, and to me, based upon your great success with Trump and everybody else, you win every time, you'd be the perfect attorney for Bibi in Israel.
Oh, I would love this case, Sid. I would love this case because if you're going to accuse the army of a Democratic ally of systematic rape, torture, barbarism, you better have evidence beyond politically charged anecdotes because that's all they have here. The Times really lost their mind here. They crossed the line from aggressive journalism into actionable defamation. It's defamation. And the lawsuit is just not an attack on free speech. It's the demand for accountability. And this has to be brought. It has to be brought because, they clearly didn't investigate anything. And let me tell you something. The more explosive the accusation, the higher the journalistic duty is to verify it. Okay? That's the law. So you're not talking about an ordinary criticism of military policy. You're not talking about accusations that the Israeli soldiers were rough in handling the prisoners. You're talking about accusations that Israeli soldiers trained dogs to sexually assault prisoners and engage in systematic rape. Those allegations are so shocking, right, and reputation destroying that any weakness in sourcing becomes a major problem for the New York Times. And I'll tell you something. They are going to have a problem here because, I will tell you, there's a standard called actual malice or reckless disregard. From my understanding, their source is someone who basically had a bias. It was aligned with the Palestinians,
of course,
right? And there was no evidence. He just said something as a source, okay? They bet you have to, when you have an allegation of this nature, you have to verify it once, twice, and 3 times over. So, I swear, I mean, this New York Times is in trouble. When I first looked at these facts and these allegations, Sid, I was astonished. I really was astonished.
Oh, it's unreal.
And then you look at the timing of it. The timing of it was also weird, right? I think that matters politically and legally, that the Israeli officers that the piece was really published right before reports detailing the Hamas sexual atrocities from October 7th.
That's right.
Allegedly creating a false moral equivalence between Hamas terrorists and Israeli soldiers.
That's right. And the Hamas story was that Hamas actually made their hostages, family members, have sex with each other. That one, I believe, not so much the dogs. But let me give you some history, Joseph. I know you know this, but for the audience out there. During Nazi Germany, the Holocaust, World War II, the New York Times, the great New York Times, they did a lot of stories on World War II. About 2 on the Jews being exterminated. About 2. That's about it. Then years ago, I'll tell you, Joseph, when I started to become a legitimate news guy, because I really wasn't. I came here as a sports guy. I was going to the gym one afternoon, and I got a call from Dove Heikind, or I forget who it was. Yeah. And they said, listen, we're having a rally outside the New York Times building. We want you to come and speak. So I go to Danielle. This is years ago. I go, I got to go to the gym. She goes, Sydney. Why? Why are they having a rally? Well, because there was a cartoon in the New York Times that depicted Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, but Trump was walking Bibi, it may have been vice versa, as a dog, literally on four legs with a leash. So they were calling the president and Bibi like they're walking a dog, which is really, really sick and twisted and anti-Semitic. She said, Sydney, you can't go to the gym. They asked you to come. I said, Dee, come on, man. I'm tired. Okay, fine. I fought with her for a while, and I went. And it turned out to be a great event. Dov Hikind was there, like I said. That's where I met Alan Dershowitz and many other Jewish fighters. And that was kind of the beginning of when people started to take me seriously as a voice for the Jewish community. I got to thank Danielle for making me go that day. But this dates back, Joseph, 7-8 years ago. Anti-Semitic cartoons. And again, back to Nazi Germany. Not even talking about the Jews. 6 million being exterminated. So this is nothing new. The New York Times has always been a treasure for the anti-Semite.
Yeah, and well, I'll tell you, whatever line they crossed here, it's unimaginable. I mean, the New York Times took one of the oldest anti-Semitic smears in history, that blood libel smear, and repackaged it as modern journalism. And when you accuse soldiers of barbaric sexual crimes without airtight proof, and I mean airtight proof, you're not informing the public, you're inflaming the world. And so this wasn't some, again, nuanced policy critique. This was reputational napalm dropped on Israel and the Jewish people. And this has to be accounted for. And they have to be responsible for what they did here because the allegations are false and they were published recklessly. The damage is irreversible. You can't unring this bell. And the Times knew exactly what global reaction to these accusations would trigger. Okay? And they published them anyway. So I am ready. I'm willing and able because I think this case is going to be a slam dunk. And it's an important case in history because it really has to put the media back into a place where journalistic integrity matters, okay? And this is so important. It's not just, being opinionated. This is not opinion. This was factual reporting. So I hard to believe, but honestly, this is something that, this is a moral demonization masquerading as reporting, and I can't take it. So if you're going to accuse, I'll say this in parting, and to Bibi Netanyahu, if you're going to accuse Israeli soldiers of medieval-style atrocities, you better have evidence beyond activism, outrage, or these anonymous narratives. Because once those accusations hit the front page of the New York Times, the damage to Israel and the Jews worldwide is imminent and permanent. And Sid, I'm ready to take their heads off.
Oh, my God, I'm so proud of you. I thought I couldn't love you any more than I did, but now I love you even more. And I'm sending this tape, just so you know, to David Mencier today. He works with Bibi every day. I'm going to see Bibi in Israel in a couple of weeks. We're speaking at the same summit on June 18th. But I'm sending this tape to Bibi because I want him to win. I want the New York Times to finally get their asses kicked. And there's no better attorney in the world than you. So this is, this makes me excited, to be honest. I'm looking forward to getting this done. And, you talk about they got to prove this stuff. One last thing. Hamas, for all these Tucker Carlson morons out there, Hamas, you know what they do. They set up their headquarters. I mean, pay attention. You know this, okay? They set up their headquarters in nursery schools. They set up their headquarters in hospitals. They set up their headquarters in places where the last thing you want to see is anybody die. And why do they do that? A, because they think they're faking out the Israelis, but we've got great intelligence. And B, because when Israel drops a bomb on a hospital, and yes, some Palestinian civilians will die, that's where Hamas is. So then they can tell the world that the Israelis are genocidal and they're killing innocent people. We're not. We never have. So that is the other narrative that the world has gladly accepted. They run with it. They love it. Because, again, it has become very, very chic to hate the Jewish people all over the world, especially Bibi. But they purposely set up in these venues so Israel looks like they're out killing people in a hospital. No, they're not, you dumb bastards. You know this, right?
Of course, absolutely. I mean, look, it's so. This is war. And when the terrorists, because Hamas isn't a group of warfighters, they're terrorists, right? when they disguise themselves as civilians, or they infiltrate civilian areas to hide there, they're the ones who are putting civilians at risk. They're the ones who are doing it. So, I mean, it's outrageous. And yes, the critics who attack Israel for that are so one-sided and clearly anti-Israel. You want to call them anti-Semites? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, it's just unbelievable. And it's really, again, back to this case. I'm flabbergasted by it. I've read that article twice. Okay, that was published, and I cannot believe that was written. I can't believe that not one editor at the New York Times said, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Do we have verifiable evidence? Because when you have an extraordinary accusation, an explosive accusation that's going to ricochet around the world, you must have extraordinary verification, and especially in a war fueled by propaganda.
Yep.
And the fact that they didn't is to me, it's a game, set, and match. And the New York Times were coming.
Good. I'm dead serious when I tell you that, I know everybody in and around BB and BB. So I'm going to make it their business to know that you want to do this, because there's no better attorney in the world, not just the United States. So we'll get on this, and you'll save Trump and BB and Israel all in a couple of years. That's pretty good work, Joe. You'll be happy to hear this on the way out. I am going to the Met-Yankee game tonight. But I'm sitting with Met owner Steve Cohen in his suite. He invited me. And we're going to talk about some things, how I think the Mets can improve their public image, because they have some issues. Whether you like it or not, they do. So I am going to the house that Mookie built later on tonight to see the Mets and Yankees.
Thank you, Steve. Come back. Please come back to the good side. I mean, look, there's enough Yankee fans out there, because it's so easy to be a Yankee fan, right?
Yeah.
The evil empire.
Yeah.
I mean, they throw money. The Met fans, you build character, and I told you this. As being a Met fan, we developed the ability to lose and still move on. And that's what being a Met fan is all about. So
it's life.
That's
right.
why we have two great young kids in that outfield now, that Binge and that new kid Ewan.
Yeah, they're great.
That's fun. That's exciting stuff.
No, they're great.
And McLean, come on.
Yeah, no, listen. And Steve Cohen's a lovely guy. I have nothing but nice things to say about Steven, but I'm never coming back. No, I'm done. I'm Randy Levine's guy now. That's it.
I will fist fight you.
You will?
I swear to God.
Well,
yes.
I just saw you on FaceTime yesterday. I don't think I can take you, bro. I don't think I can. You are one big guy, man. You look great. You got muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles. But you were great here today. See, you don't have to beat up everybody. Sometimes you can just speak, because you're an attorney. Verbally defeat people. You're great at that, too. So thank you for this great appearance. And we'll get working on BB this morning, buddy. I love you. Thank you so much.
Okay, brother. Let's go.
Nice job, Joseph. Joseph Tacopina right there on this show every Friday. One of the more popular segments on Sid and Friends in the morning, and of course, you know why. We'll take a break. Nomi's got the news. We will go back to the Preakness Stakes.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm dropping the ceremonial opening puck. Bruce Blakeman did it last year. I'll be doing it this year. Good morning, Margot. How are you, sweetheart? Good to see you. Good to see you. So Sunday, May 17th, happens to be the anniversary of Donna Summer's death. I don't know what year she died.
2012.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Lewis. Oh, my God. She's dead. It's going to be 14 years?
Yeah, she died at 63.
Wow. Oh, still young. She'd be about 77. Oh, she was great. Donna Summer was great. That was a good song, too. You picked a good one there, Lewis. So, Frankie, that one goes out to you. One other quick story. The Hollywood Reporter, which Noam loves. How often, Noam, would you say you read the Hollywood Reporter?
Every day, yeah.
Every day. Never once in your whole life, have you?
No.
But I guess they're a big deal. They've got like 3 million followers.
Oh, no, that's absolutely the trade magazine if you're in the movie industry.
It is, right?
Yeah, 100%. If you're in it at all, you're reading that every day.
Okay. So they came out with a list, maybe last week, I don't know. The 50 most influential New Yorkers in media. I think that was a list. 50. Okay. I think number one on the list, I can ask you guys, and you're in media, right? You're on the biggest radio show in the world. I could ask you guys 100 times. You'd never get who's number one. Never. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the most influential media person in New York is, ready for this, is Dan Abrams.
Dan Abrams?
Yeah.
Well, he does own all those websites.
He does own a lot of websites.
Yeah.
He started News Nation. Fine.
That's pretty influential, yeah.
Number one?
No, I
I'm begging you to stop.
But he does all those, what's those websites? The ones, Mediaite.
YouPorn.
YouPorn.
XNXX.
Yeah.
He does do Mediaite, which hates me and Trump. They wrote a couple of nasty stories about me and the president on Wednesday. Shock. But you look at that list, and they do have like one conservative group on the show. They put the 5 from Fox News at like number 12 on the list. So they didn't completely lock out conservatives. But most of the people on the list are these tree-hugging New York white-haired liberals. And I got to tell you, I'm a pretty big media guy in New York. Pretty big, okay? When there's a list of the 50 most influential in the city where we do the number one radio show, and I got to be honest, guys, I don't recognize 30, not 5, 30 of the 50 names. That's a problem. Now, that doesn't mean not influential, right? Because they can be CEOs. They can work for radio companies. I don't know. But guess who's not on the list?
Joy Behar.
I think she actually did make the list. I think all those repulsive hags.
They did?
Yeah, The View. They put them all together, I think. Her
Wait,
and
Anna Navarro, too?
I think all of them.
Oh, okay.
Sonny Host and Whoopi, just to the group of these repulsive hags. No, I'm not on the list. So, Barrett Media, love those guys. Jason, he got a big conference coming up. This is going to be the year they actually introduce the Scott Shannon Award. Give me a break. Scott's still working, of course. He just got a job in Boston somewhere doing mornings. I don't know. But the inaugural Scott Shannon Award will be handed out in July at the conference where I believe I was the first person they contacted to speak, and I will speak because I like Jason Barrett a lot, and Garrett Seawright and all those guys. So they wrote a big story yesterday about the glaring omissions from this list. Sid Rosenberg is not on the list. Mark Simone is not on the list. Curtis Sliwa is not on the list. So if you look at the picture of the Hollywood Reporter, you see the picture is in the Barrett Media story. I'm in the middle, flocked by Curtis and Simone. There's one other glaring omission, which Garrett Seawright, the writer, asked me about. He said, if you were writing this list, would you put John Catsimatidis? I said, of course. Are you nuts? And he's got a top-rated show, 5 o'clock every weekday afternoon. He beats Sean Hannity, beats him easily. Top-rated show Sunday morning, and he owns the number 1 AM radio station in the world. Inside Radio came out just this morning with the top 10 AM radio stations in the country, in the world, and we are number 1. WABC, thank you. So how do you leave him off the list? He's a billionaire. He's got multiple businesses in New York City, and he's got a pretty good radio pedigree at this point. So no John, and that's a pretty glaring omission, but no Sid. And they were mad. Barrett Media was mad. Garrett was like, I'm looking up and down the list. I go, did I miss? Maybe I just missed your name. I said, no, it's not there. He said, why do you think that's the case? And I couldn't say it's because I'm a Trump-loving conservative, because they have the whole cast of the 5. Jesse Waters, Dana Perino, Greg Gutfeld. But, here's the difference. I explained it to him. They're kind of milquetoast, right? You don't look at Jesse Waters as a hater, do you?
No.
Polarizing. Greg Gutfeld?
No.
A wannabe comedian with a pretty lame late-night show that does very well in the ratings? Me, I'm an asshole. People hate me, right? They hate me. So that's the difference. So, yeah, we're all conservatives, me and those guys, but nobody hates those guys. They hate me. And I wear that as a badge of honor. I'd rather be hated and not make this stupid Hollywood Reporter list. But I really couldn't think of any other reason why I wouldn't be on the list and high on the list. Can you know?
No, I mean, I'm looking at the names as you were talking. Now, you know, like Stephen A's on there. Obviously, he deserves to be on that list.
Stephen A, absolutely.
Yeah. But then there's people, I don't even know who they are. Like, I have to read the explanation of who they are. And then even then, I'm not exactly sure who they are.
But we're not on the list.
Some guy named Andrew Schulz. Do you know who Andrew Schulz is?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, okay. Oh. There you go. He's a podcaster.
I'm
How
telling
did he
you.
make the list?
Oh, he's the comedian. He's Andrew Schultz.
You know who he is?
He's a comedian. Yeah, he's of the whole Joe Rogan squad.
All right. So he's a bigger deal in New York than me?
No, that's not what I said. I'm just saying who he is.
I can't walk into a restaurant without somebody wanting to give me a free meal and free drinks. You think Andrew Schultz got treated the same way? You think when the Mets play the Yankees, Andrew Schultz will be sitting next to Steve Cohen tonight, or Randy Levine will have him in the suit in the Bronx suite? What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I know who he is.
Not you, but there's nobody bigger than me. I've got the president. I've got the president on the phone for 45 minutes. I'm being wooed by both major baseball organizations. I'm a legitimate superstar. Who in God's name is Andrew Schultz?
I have no idea who he is, actually.
Son of a bitch!
Now that I
Better
think
answer.
about it, yeah.
Don't tell him you're downloading his podcast.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And again, he wasn't the only name. There's like 20 guys I never heard of on that list. Like 20 of them. 20. So the Hollywood Reporter can, well, I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead.
Blow me.
Nice.
Good Shabbos.
Yeah. At least it's kosher, right?
I guess. We'll take a break. When we'll get back, we'll talk about the Preakness. I'm going to make you some money. You want the winning Quinella trifecta, the winning horse in tomorrow's Preakness. I mean this. Stick around. Dick Girardi, he's called them all the last 45 years.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sherrod DeVoe, will Golden Tempo race this weekend?
He will not. He will not be entered in the Preakness.
And does it come down to what you talked about with me just 2 days after and on Fox News this weekend, that the horse is just used to running longer distances right now, or is the horse tired? What is the main reason why he's not going to run this weekend?
It's a culmination of both. Ultimately, what we decided, in chatting with the team, the Phipps and Vinny's team, is we're looking for a campaign for the whole year, and trying to squeeze a race in 2 weeks just wouldn't be right for him to have the bigger goal in mind. We're pointing to the Belmont, then we're pointing to the Travers, and then after the Travers, we'll reevaluate to see, if we're going to go into the Breeders' Cup Classic. So it's one or the other usually, in my opinion. Asking a horse to run back in 2 weeks and then back in 3 weeks, it's a tough task. And I'm not saying I love history, and I'm not saying change the Triple Crown, but I'm saying it takes a super unique and special horse to be able to do it. And I'm not saying that Golden Tempo isn't isn't a high caliber great horse, but I'm just saying coming back in 2 weeks just isn't necessarily the best for him.
Golden Tempo is owned by one of my best friends, Vinny Viola, who also owns the Florida Panthers. But you heard Sherry there talk about, 2 weeks is not a lot of time. He went on to talk about really how amazing horses like Seattle Slew and Secretariat Affirmed and the last two, Justify and American Pharaoh, are to win 3 of those races in 7 weeks. But she did talk about, as much as she loves this sport, that maybe they should consider giving these horses a little more time in between these races. Because now, as it turns out, I don't blame Vinny or Cherie, but there'll be no Triple Crown winner this year. That's it. It's dead. And the Saratoga, the Belmont's going to be a big deal. It's in Saratoga. It's going to be a huge deal. And New York is going to go nuts, probably 150,000 large, but there'll be no Triple Crown winner again. Let me talk to the best horse racing guy in the world. I really believe that, especially since Hank Goldberg died. My good buddy, Dick Girardi. He's back for every major race. Dick, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, Sid. How about you?
I'm great. Now, you heard Cherie. We got her on the show twice, 2 days after she won the Derby, and just today about tomorrow's Preakness. And she said, look, my horse can't do it. 2 weeks later. And he's also used to running long distances. This is a shorter race. But she did think the time, a couple of weeks in between races, is an issue.
Yeah, look, I think Cherie reflects the modern way people look at the top-class thoroughbreds. Sid, they just don't run that much in 2 weeks and then back in 3 weeks for the Belmont, except during the Triple Crown. It just doesn't happen. That's why we've had 3 of the last 5 Derby winners not run in the Preakness. So I think we got to look at the schedule. The Preakness should move 4 weeks back from the Derby, and then the Belmont 4 weeks back from that. Now, that will require cooperation among the racetracks, which doesn't always happen. But, yeah, that's what we need to do to reflect the way people look at horses these days. And, look, Cherie was extremely impressive in what she did. It was awesome, and I understand everything she's talking about her horse. She knows her horse better than anyone. I'm sure they'd love to be there, but they're trying to do what's best for their horse, and it makes sense.
Oh, Vinny loves his horses. A couple of years ago, we had the favorite Forte. Forte went for a walk Kentucky Derby morning, stepped on a pebble, And he said, nope, he's not going. People said, what are you talking about? You're the favorite. Nope. So Vinny and Teresa down there at St. Elias Stables in Florida, they really love their horses. They care about the animals first. Forgetting about what I think, Dick, or you, or Cherie, there's much more at stake here because the TV contract for the Preakness is up this year. And I know both NBC and Fox have it, or they're vying for it. And if you don't have a Kentucky Derby winner running in the Preakness, like you said, has been the case 3 of the last 5 years, you can pretty much guarantee yourself that the ratings are going to be down, right? They're going to be down. It's kind of like in the NBA games. When the coaches at the end of the year, Popovich and Kerr, decide to bench their starters because they're getting tired. So forget about what we think. This is big money. TV contracts have to worry about this.
Correct, and I think that's why it's going to change next year. Because look, as you said, Sid, NBC and Fox both want the Preakness, but they don't want the Preakness without the Derby winner. Right? It's just not worth it.
Well, how much? Do you know, Dick? I'm just curious. Yeah. I'm fascinated by this. When there is no Derby winner running, do you know how much percentage-wise those numbers are down?
I don't know the exact number, but it's substantial. And keep in mind that Derby on NBC had 20 million viewers. It was a gigantic number, one of the biggest, like in modern times, for any horse race. So you want to have that momentum, right, going into Maryland in 2 weeks, and they just don't have it. So NBC's, look, they're in the world of producing shows, producing something that people can follow. Well, you can't follow it if the star of the original show doesn't show up for the second act.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely, whoever gets the Preakness is going to absolutely demand that they move the date back. Hopefully 4 weeks. I don't think 3 weeks is enough, Sid, again, for modern thoroughbreds. So hopefully maybe the first Saturday in June and then the first Saturday in July at the new Belmont Park, which will be around for the Belmont Stakes in 2027.
I mean, look, let's be honest. The Travers is great and the Breeders' Cup is great, but, and they're big races. But the world only cares about these three. You get a nice audience for the others, don't get me wrong. These three. So stretch it out. Make it last a little longer. It's going to be better, actually, because there'll be more Dick Girardi interviews and Cherie interviews and Bob Baffert interviews and Vinny. I think it does make sense on a whole bunch of ends, including the health of the horses. And you mentioned the fact that the Belmont will be run at Saratoga this year till next year. Same thing with tomorrow's race. Not at Pimlico, about 25 miles away. I think they also go back to the regular track next year. Is that right?
That's the plan. Yeah, Pimlico is similar to Belmont Park, is under reconstruction at this point. They tore the old track down after last year's Preakness. So, yeah, Laurel Park, for the people that don't know the geography in Maryland, Sid, as you said, it's 25 miles south, about 10 miles north of Washington, D.C. That's where Laurel, Maryland is.
Oh, that's not too far. Okay, yeah. Well, not only is Golden Tempo not running, there's going to be 3 horses from the 18-horse Derby. That, 3 horses are running, a bunch are not running. O'Selly, which had a very nice finish, shocked everybody with that show finish, is running in this race. But even the horse that came in second in the Derby, that horse is Renegade. That horse is not running either. So some of the more recognizable names from the Kentucky Derby, along with the winner, not even racing tomorrow.
Yeah, they're not. They're waiting for the Belmont Stakes. The horses have already gone up to Saratoga to get ready for it. Todd Pletcher, of course, trades Renegade, who was just second, and he has a stable up there and has for years. Incredible is finished 6th in the Derby, 4 lengths back. He's actually, at the moment, Sid, the 4-1 favorite at Bet Online. O'Selly's 23-4. He's the horse, as you said. He was 70-1, actually took the lead in the stretch. He's yet to win a race. And the third horse coming back from the Derby is Robusta. He's 25-1. But, yeah, 14-horse field, complicated race, similar to the Derby, but without the same kind of overall form that we had in Kentucky. I think we had a better line on the horses coming into Kentucky, frankly, than we did coming into Maryland.
All right, fair enough. Well, Dick, you do a great job picking the horses on this show, and you got a huge audience. I'm telling you, a huge audience right now. They want to know the 3 horses, and you can pick them in any order you want that are going to finish top 3 in tomorrow's Preakness Stakes. Dick Girardi, who do we like?
Yeah, I do not have as much confidence, Sid, for your audience as I did in Kentucky. I still think I had the best horse. Unfortunately, my horse got injured in the race. He took the lead in the stretch, but everybody knows that story. Iron Honor, the 9 for Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt. The 7, I know you'll love this name, The Hell We Did. And the 2, O'Selly, in that order. So 9, 7, 2 And I'm going to give you a prop bet that I'm extremely confident in at BetOnline. Over under 155 for the time, mile and 3/16. Sid, we're going over. This will be over 155. You can bet that with confidence.
And why is that? Is that because there's a lot of speed with these horses? Is going to be a sloppy track tomorrow? Why is that?
It's a slower group of horses. The Beyer speed figure in the Derby was the lowest it's been in history. It was only a 95. Typically, we'll have like 105. And the surface at Laurel, in contrast to the surface at Churchill Downs, which was extremely fast heading into Derby week, is pretty slow. So you combine all that, I think we're going over 155.
Over 155 and 972, and you can place all your bets. Trust me, you'll be happy. BetOnline.ag. BetOnline.ag. I like Jimmy Shapiro, but he's really at a home run with you, Dick. We've been doing this. You and I have been doing this a long time. I don't realize it. A long time. And you're really great. Every race. We'll talk again before the Belmont in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the racing, pal. Thank you.
Sounds good. Look forward to it, Sid. Thanks.
Bye-bye, Dick. You got it, pal. Dick Girardi right there, back on Sid and Friends in the Morning. Once again, he likes the 9 tomorrow in the Preakness Stakes. It's the name of that horse, so I have it, Iron Honor. Then he likes the 7, The Hell We Did. And then he likes the 2 horse, which is Oselli, which just happened to finish in the show position in the Derby, going off at 23-4. And then he likes the over 1 minute and 55 seconds for the total time of the race. You can bet all these at betonline.ag. And we're going to have our other horse expert on Monday. Write this one down, Justin, at 9:35 to review the Preakness. And his name is Wyatt Imus, making a return to Sid and Friends in the Morning. He actually gets up now every morning in Texas at that ranch, the Imus Ranch. It's still called the Imus Ranch, and listens to us. Oh, we'll take a break, come back. Are we done now, Lou? Is that it, though?
I think we're done.
All right, Lou, you were just great as always this week. I love you. Thank you. Great week. Great week. Justin, you too. Justin, have fun. You're going to a wedding in Buffalo, or where are you going to be?
Yeah, wedding in Buffalo, and then my sister's graduation at Villanova Law School.
That's a big deal.
Philadelphia.
Mazel tov to your sister and your mom and dad. That's great. Noam, we missed you for 2 days this week, but you finished out strong. We love you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And we'll all do it again Monday, as Gene would say, God willing.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?